guys know what she is? All right, ready to go? Let's go. Okay, welcome everyone. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Commissioners of July 22nd. Joe Moss. Joe, will you lead us in the invocation?
Yes, I will. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln encouraged the American people to humble themselves before God, confess their sins, and pray for forgiveness in his proclamation of a national day of fasting and prayer. And so it is good to seek God's mercy, guidance, and grace. Dear Lord, just thank you for tonight. Thank you that we could be here together for this opportunity. We thank you for your many blessings. We just pray that you would give us hearts of gratitude as we serve Ottawa County and we serve the people. We know that you love us unconditionally, and I just pray that we will take that love and make it known to others around us. Help us reflect that love towards those that we serve. I pray for my fellow commissioners and ask that you would give us guidance and wisdom as we make decisions. Pray for the staff and administration in Ottawa County as they serve the citizens of Ottawa County. We pray for our judges in our courtrooms as they administer justice. I pray for the sheriff's department and our deputies as they serve the people, and pray that you'll give them protection from harm's way in the dangers that they face. We pray for the leaders of our state and our nation as you have commanded, and pray that you will give them wisdom and discernment, and ask that you will bring people around them to encourage them to do what's right. I pray for the people of Ottawa County and ask that you would make them healthy, prosperous, and joyful, and grow in the knowledge of the truth. God, I pray for our pastors and our faith leaders as they serve and as they teach, and for our local ministries, and pray that they will not grow weary as they're doing good and serving others. I pray for our nation and that you'll continue to awaken people's hearts to you, our Creator. Lord, I just pray that whatever we do tonight will bring you honor and glory. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here's Justin.
Yes, sir. Mr. Barry.
Here.
Mr. Jorisma.
Here.
Mr. Zylstra.
Here.
Mr. Bonema.
Here.
Mr. Moss.
Here.
Mrs. Wenzel. Mr. Teeples.
Here.
Mrs. Rohde.
Here.
Mr. Kyers.
Here.
Mr. Bruger.
Here.
And Mrs. Miedema.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. First thing up is correspondence, and we have Bob DeVries. Bob?
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to let you know what's going on in Lansing.
As the chairman said, my name is Bobby DeVries, and I work at GCSI, one of Lansing's largest lobbying firms. We've been the lobbyist for Ottawa County for over 20 years, and it's always a pleasure to work with you and our local legislators on accomplishing county priorities. The legislature is on their summer recess. They do have scheduled session days over the course of the summer, but so far they've been canceled. I think there is a chance that they're going to meet a little bit in August because the budget is behind schedule, and I think that there's an active effort to try to get at least the education budget done as soon as possible. There is a statutory deadline that was blown past of July 1, but really the only deadline that actually matters is the October 1 fiscal an end of the fiscal year. If the budget isn't done by then, it's government shutdown. There's no authorized spending after midnight on the morning of October 1. And so hopefully we'll see some action on that in August, but definitely by September. The hang up seems to be whether they're going to do this piecemeal, get a school budget done, work on individual budgets, or whether there's going to be some sort of big deal all at the same time. The House, the Republicans have been pushing to make sure that a roads deal is part of the overall budget plan. The governor reiterated this week that is also her plan. Seems like the Senate Democrats in the Senate would prefer to take it one piece at a time. And so we'll see where it goes from there. But getting this budget kicked into September is probably not the worst thing either. There's a lot of stuff coming out of the new spending bill from DC that the state's still trying to figure out what the impacts are. House Fiscal Agency today said they believe it's about a $677 million revenue decrease in money that was coming from Washington into Michigan for things. That's the first report I've seen with an actual number. And so I'm not sure exactly where that revenue used to be going and is no longer, but that's a pretty significant bump. And so anything that they pass for the budget needs to account for that. Excuse me. There've only been 6 public acts this year. The legislature normally by now, somewhere between 75 and 100 public acts is pretty normal. The House has been passing plenty of bills. The Senate's been passing plenty of bills, but there have been very few that have actually crossed over and made it to the governor's desk. And so there does seem like there's some pressure building to just go get a bunch of stuff done that isn't the most controversial, that things that will pass with lots of votes. But I think until the budget deal happens, those things will still be on the back burner. One thing that we've been monitoring for you at the county is there's a bunch of different bills that are trying to amend the Open Meetings Act, specifically in regards to when virtual meeting is allowed. There's some that will say virtual meeting is fine as long as there's a quorum, in person. There are others that, hey, you can meet virtually, but everybody has to still be in the state, things like that. There's been a lot of arguments about this since the pandemic, when everything moved virtually for a while. And it feels like there's some momentum building that something will get done. And so we'll continue to keep you in the loop on that to make sure that Ottawa County's priorities are protected there. The other big news in the last week was there was a large economic development project in Genesee County that had been kind of pushing towards some sort of deal for the last year or so. And the company just pulled out. And so the legislature appropriated $250 million last year for property acquisition, site readiness, for what was going to become a chips plant, building hard drives, microprocessors, things like that in Michigan. And the company backed out because they couldn't get the right package of funding, both from the state and from Washington. And so I think we'll see the governor prioritize trying to figure out a new plan for that site, especially after the legislature's invested so much money in getting it ready for some sort of advanced manufacturing. The other thing that we've been talking about a lot this year is our CMH stuff. As you guys know, our legislators have been quite involved in trying to make sure that we get a handle on the deficit there. It's not an actual funding problem. It's getting the state to release the right amount of funding at the right times. I will say that Senator Huizenga, Representative Workham have been doing a lot of work for us on that. And I think that when we get into a supplemental spending bill this fall, we're going to push real hard to make sure that we can get some extra money from the state to take care of our CMH deficit. Lastly, I'm happy to answer any questions. Excuse me. Just today, the House Oversight Committees met and authorized a bunch of subpoenas towards the Attorney General, towards the DNR, towards other executive departments. This is fairly unprecedented. They did one or two earlier this year towards the state police. I would imagine that a lot of this stuff is going to end up in court, but it's something that we're watching because it's not been used a lot in the past. Very rare occasions in the past we've seen the legislature issuing subpoenas to the executive branch. And so I don't think it's going to take the temperature down at all in Lansing as these things get argued out, but it's something to keep an eye on and see where things go. But those are the highlights. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
We appreciate you always keeping us updated, not just here today, but the other meetings we've had. So
Thanks.
Thanks for everything you're doing, Bob.
I do have
Sylvia?
one question. Yeah, sorry.
Sure.
Have you heard anything more, and I'm not sure it would go through legislatively, but have you heard any more about the changes that the state wants to make to CMH? More privatization type of a move?
There's nothing concrete yet. So there's no bills that have been introduced. It probably would have to be a legislative solution.
Okay.
And so I do believe there's at least a group that thinks that that's the right solution. We've tried some privatization in the past with mixed results. I've heard that the proposal that former Senator Shirkey was pushing maybe 4 or 5 years ago is coming back in one form or another, but we haven't seen bills yet. And so as we do, we'll keep administration and CMH in the loop and make sure we're keeping an eye on it for you.
Okay, so it sounds like MDHHS is perhaps putting out RFPs and stuff
Okay.
to get that moving. So it kind of seems like it might be in action. So I don't know if then that just falls under the bureaucracy or not, but if you hear anything, if you could let us know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bob, staying with that issue, is there any update about the State Department of Health releasing those funds that they're holding that would get and filter down to Ottawa County and other counties that have this deficit?
I think it would take legislative action for us to get there. The challenge seems to be not that the money doesn't exist, but that it's siloed up for certain things in the kind of the payer mix, the case mix we have in Ottawa County. We run out of funds where we need it before, and we don't need the money in other places. And so Senator Huizenga is working on that. And I think that the solution will be when we do a supplemental spending bill, probably close the books at the end of the year, that we can hopefully by then know what our deficit is here and work with our legislative delegation to get something taken care of.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a long-term solution though. I mean, that's the Band-Aid. And so whether there's a new funding mechanism that needs to happen or not, I'm not sure, but we will work on the Band-Aid this year.
I believe Dr. Brashears indicated at our last meeting that there was a potential solution coming with releasing those funds.
Louder, sir.
Yeah, sorry about that. I believe Dr. Brashears indicated at our last Community Mental Health Board meeting that there was a plan to release those funds. I don't know the timeline on that, but regardless of whether that happens to cover the gap this year, I think Bob is right that in light of the one big beautiful bill, there is going to be a shakeup in some of the Medicaid eligibility. And so the whole calculation for funding for the CMH is based on the Medicaid population. So if our Medicaid population shrinks, our funding could shrink. So I think there's a lot of ambiguity from the state. So it seems like, they solved one problem and there are a couple of new problems on the horizon.
Yeah. And I believe too that money has been released, but this is just going off the top of my head. I think it was somewhere like $140 million had not been released, and maybe 105 has been now. And of that, I think about 2.5 million is trickling down to our local CMH. So it still doesn't completely cover the gap, but it's taken us a good ways closer. So I don't think we've quite received the money yet, but it's in process.
Right. Good. Anyone else?
What are some of the highlights of the DNR lawsuits?
It's not a lawsuit yet, and there's some subpoenas over an invasive species order that the DNR issued 12 or 15 years ago that essentially made hogs brought into Michigan for the purposes of hunting an invasive species. I think the argument was that it would have significantly detrimental impact on agriculture, and all of the agriculture groups supported it. Since then, I mean, the stories are that maybe the DNR is being overly invasive in their enforcement of this order. I don't know. I'm not here to defend the DNR one way or the other, but that's what they're looking into.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks. Have a nice night.
So before we go into public comment, we also have a new area director for MSU Extension. So Mia, would you please come up, introduce yourself? Welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity and good evening to you all. My name is Kai Gritter, and as was mentioned by Chairperson Teeples, I'm new with Extension as the district director. You may be familiar with Scott Korpak. He's my predecessor. And I've been with MSU Extension for almost 6 years, and I was serving as an educator, conducting social, emotional, mental health programming in the community, as well as conducting veterans outreach. So I'm sure I've met some of you in the past. Very glad to be here. Thank you for your support thus far, and I look forward to a continued and fruitful partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to the county.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the public comment. So I know that there's a whole slew of people that would like to make comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, indicate where you're from, and come forward.
Mr. Chair, we do have a list of 18 individuals so far. Number 1 is Jen Greenlee, Park Township.
To let freedom ring or not to let freedom ring? Is that the question? As most of you know, freedom was stolen during the COVID pandemic. Children's education was stolen. Businesses' services were stolen. People's health needs were stolen. Public trust in science versus medical versus true health management was stolen. Public trust in doctors, medical facilities, government bodies, and NGOs was lost or stolen. Fear was instilled. Dictatorial, illegal, unconstitutional executive orders were delivered every 2 weeks. And then when our World Economic Forum student in training, Governor Whitmer, was filed against in the Michigan Supreme Court, she lost and then resorted to the use of the public health departments to carry out her bidding and require compliance. Little Polish businesswoman Marlena from Marlena's Bistro was one of the few that dared to stand her ground for her freedom with resultant punishment, and was sent out from Lansing was the state troopers to arrest her and imprison her with shackles and a cruel liberal court judge. Indeed, her freedom was stolen for a time. Where was our county sheriff in protecting our citizens? The doctrine of the lesser magistrate was not implemented nor respected. Instead, she was made a mockery. Marlena knew what was really happening. She lived it as a child in Poland with communism taking over, and her freedoms had been lost there. Her business continues today, and it's sustainable, but many businesses folded. Even churches were hurt and necessarily threatened and intimidated for compliance. Is that freedom? We also did not have medical freedom. Many records to date show that unvaccinated individuals remain in better health than those vaccinated, and especially were compromised via comorbidities. One doctor, Dr. Paul Thomas of Dartmouth, has publicly stated he has over 13,000 children in his practice of over 30 years, and that his unvaccinated clients are the healthiest over any vaccinated. Is medical freedom important? Election integrity is still at stake. It too was stolen. Is that freedom, the freedom to vote and have your vote counted properly, still at risk? Although many began questioning even recently, as this month, former Senator Pat Colbeck testified in Lansing regarding the lack of election integrity and the many ways our supposed free elections were compromised. Are elections really free when compromise has occurred on various levels and illegal immigrants were allowed to vote and mail-in ballots were tampered with? And when you see people still wearing ineffective mandated masks in certain jobs, is that freedom? By all means, every commissioner needs to stand up and let freedom ring loud and clear, and even fight for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Greenlee.
Number 2 is Donovan Gomez, Bridgeport Township.
Yeah, I come all the way from Saginaw, Michigan. And here's what I have to say about the motto. The government is an agent of the people. Even though I agree with the philosophy, others may have a conflicting interest too innumerable to reconcile with, which detracts from business that must be concluded in a timely manner. I agree that this form of government exceptionalism is quite exceptional. Agricultural land that extends for miles, manufacturing industry that continues to grow, land that rests near a beach with the sun sets. However, if America is to remain free, it is up to the people how they want to govern their society through secure elections at the ballot box. A county motto would prove detractive to the interests of the citizens. As one gentleman said to me, how would you feel if the motto "Where Freedom Rings" was posted everywhere on the county jails? That sounds to me more dystopian. Okay, so you guys seem pretty interested in mental health, right? Well, guess what? Last time I came to the county, I was packed, strapped, ready to go. This time I came to the county, essentially what these mental health programs across the state are doing is they are essentially targeting gun owners. A psychologist might diagnose this as being paranoia. But anyways, I got multiple fabricated lies based off of two clinical workers, a sociologist and a psychologist, that essentially came together, conspired against me, and eventually revoked me of my Second Amendment rights when I decided to choose due process and step into a courtroom. If I would have never stepped into the courtroom, I would have my Second Amendment rights to this day. But this entire system of mental health, okay, if we want a system of mental health, also create another system, because I understand that mental health provides a lot of jobs and there's a lot of funding introduced with it. Also create a system that has a relief from firearms disability. But no, we don't want to do that because we're basically taxing these people $30,000 every time you visit 2 weeks in the hospital. So yeah, that's my detraction on it. And as for this new administrator, I say give the guy a chance. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Next is Bruce Greenlee, Park Township.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you commissioners and fellow citizens of Ottawa County. In January of 2023, the newly elected Ottawa County Commissioners voted to pass a resolution to change the vision statement "Where you belong" to a more inclusive statement, "Where freedom rings." The belonging statement came into being in 2017 at the urging of County Administrator after adopting the tenets of DEI from UC Berkeley organization GARE, G-A-R-E, Government Alliance on Race and Equity. Belonging is also part of the 2023 vision statement. In full, it states, "Where freedom rings, where individual freedoms, parental rights, and freedom of religion and conscience are protected, all people belong." With the next year set to celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary and also commemorate the ideals of the Declaration of Independence and U.S. Constitution, I stand for freedom, principles, and protections for all citizens. These are for the unborn and the born, the old and the young, all races, male and female, rich and poor, educated and illiterate, all religious backgrounds, all ethnicities. Our founding documents were created to ensure equal opportunity, not equity. Equity attempts to guarantee equal outcomes regardless of merit, effort, or qualifications. Try getting good grades by doing less than good work in school. Freedoms are not guaranteed to all generations in America, as it is not genetically passed on. I thank the 2023 Ottawa County Commissioners and the voters that supported them for helping to take back freedoms that the Commission of 2017 gave away freely. Let freedom ring, where individual freedoms, parental rights, freedom of religion and conscience are protected and all people belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenlee.
Number 4 is John Scheid, Allendale Township.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Scheid. I live in Allendale. I am here to speak in favor of changing the county motto, or at least to eliminate our current motto. Where freedom rings. What does that really mean? To me, they are code words not to include or invite me and others to participate actively in the life of this county. It seems to speak more of freedom from rather than freedom for. Freedom from listening to a broad range of opinions and trying to understand. Freedom from respecting longstanding protocol, practice, and wisdom. From acknowledging that we are more alike than different and that we are not the center of the universe. It smacks of a mentality of don't tread on me. This made more sense when the colonists were fighting the rule of a king without representation. How ironic that when Ottawa Impact exercised its majority and evidently still wishes to adhere to MAGA principles under the influence of a president who so clearly wishes to be and acts like a king, that they want a motto which expressly opposed the king. Why have all the finalists for the position of county administrator withdrawn? That's my understanding anyway. I would have expected one or two, but all? What do they see? What is this telling the rest of us? They must be unsettled about something. Presumably, there are at least some who have respectable conservative credentials, yet none of them felt they could work with this board. Is this group that divided? The fact that the OI majority no longer is in place since the last election shows that most of the electorate did not want that type of politics on the board. I urge those of you who now have a more moderate mandate to use your authority, your power. You won for a reason. Not just to be in control, but to use it for openness to as many as possible, to move forward, not backward, to acknowledge that our freedom is always balanced with constraints based on the common good, constraints not based on fear, conspiracy, lies, lack of respect, partisan pressure, or the chance of losing the next election. You might demonstrate your strength for good by getting rid of our motto. I have no suggestions right now for any replacement. I'd prefer to have none than this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scheid.
Number 5 is Elizabeth Brubaker, Holland Township.
I'm also here to talk about the agenda item to eliminate the current county motto. It's been brought up that the motto, "Where Freedom Rings," is on its own just fine. The problem in this case is the baggage it brings with it. In the January 2023 resolution to change the county motto, diversity and inclusion were noted as beautiful words that bring value and richness to our relationships, homes, and communities. Again, on its own, this is a lovely sentiment. But then, just 6 whereases later, the race equity movement, which is defined as a social and political effort focused on eliminating racial disparities and ensuring that all individuals, regardless of their race, have equal opportunities and outcomes, was called out as Marxist ideology. As in other parts of this resolution, the term Marxist is used with some serious creativity, but I assume the use here is meant to degrade the race equity movement. The thing is, we cannot have diversity and inclusion if we don't ensure equal opportunities for all individuals. That same resolution states that we value all people regardless of their religion, a confusing statement as it closely follows the statement that America is built on Christianity. This county is not just a Christian county. There are people here from many faiths, as well as a growing number of people who are not affiliated with any religion. Again, from that resolution, there's a statement that the motto, "Where You Belong," was used to establish a DE&I department on the premise that county residents of being 90% white is problematic for business. But that's not who we are. In fact, in 2022, Ottawa County was 82.9% white. Perhaps we can agree that ignoring or nullifying 7.1% of your constituents at your first board meeting is rather problematic and ironically indicative of the need for DEI training. I personally think the biggest baggage that the current motto carries is that "Where You Belong" was thoroughly demonized, leaving many to wonder if they really do belong here. I've given a few examples of words in your resolution that do not reflect the people of Ottawa County. And because of that, the words "Where Freedom Rings" have become hollow. If you truly believe that this county should uphold the rights outlined in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution, as you noted in the 2023 resolution, then you need to assure every one of your constituents really do belong here. You need to vote to change or eliminate the current county motto. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brubaker.
Number 6 is Dan Zimmer, Port Sheldon Township.
Dan Zimmer, Port Sheldon Township. With regard to county motto, does a county need a motto? How often is it subject to change? Should a motto be irrevocable? What is its purpose? Is the purpose soundbite or substance? It seems a motto is a fluffy feel-good to those that draft it. Using a Google search for Ottawa County mission statement, Ottawa County is committed to practicing fiscal responsibility while ensuring all residents have access to high-quality essential services. With 99% of surveyed residents reporting feeling safer in their neighborhoods, Ottawa County is the perfect place to put down roots. Maybe now is the time to prioritize mission over motto.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer.
Number 7 is Harvey Nickel, Georgetown Township.
My name is Harvey Nickel, and I'm from Jenison. I'm here today to read the comments of Ben Genzer in support of retaining the county model, "We are where freedom rings." There is a discussion about reverting back to the previous motto, "Where you belong." While that may sound inviting and on the surface, it replaces substance with sentiment. Belonging, in the abstract, is subjective. Do we say everyone belongs, regardless of whether they follow the law, contribute to society, or respect the rights of others? When belonging is treated as an automatic guarantee, it becomes untethered from action, responsibility, or shared standards. That line of thinking, while well-intentioned, fosters entitlement over accountability. Where freedom rings, on the other hand, is rooted in the enduring promise of the Constitution. It applies equally to everyone. It emphasizes the freedom to make your own choices and the responsibility to accept the outcomes of those choices. That balance between liberty and accountability is what defines American exceptionalism. Not comfort, not emotional validation, but responsibility. Some critics suggest the motto, "Where freedom rings," is exclusive. That simply is not true. Freedom is not the problem. Freedom is the standard. It is the very thing that allows us to engage in this debate and participate in civic life. Mr. Chair, promising belonging without expecting anything in return is a neutral idea. At its core, it reflects a collectivist mindset that has been promoted by socialists and Marxist thinkers for generations. Lenin spoke of the universal right to belong as a tool to reshape society around the state control, where rights are granted by the collective rather than earned through liberty and responsibility. That worldview is incompatible with the individual freedoms of our country. Our country was founded upon, Where freedom rings is not just a phrase. It is an aspirational standard. It challenges us to uphold the values that make this county and this country strong. I respectfully ask this board to reject the motion on the agenda and to affirm a vision that calls people to something greater. Let Ottawa County be where freedom rings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nickel.
Number 8 is Joel Buck, Georgetown Township.
Good evening, Commissioners. Joel Buck, Georgetown Township, or Jenison. I'm not a big fan of identity politics. I'd appreciate it when the elected officials that are responsible for governance here, that they would look at an issue and think, how does that affect the population? How does that affect the citizens? just because a previous board did something and you feel that it's righteous to punish them or undo something, or just to change a motto, waste our taxpayer money to undo signs, letterhead, etc. So this is my little speech here. It's not about making sandwiches. I'm here to strongly urge you to keep our county's motto, where freedom rings. This motto reflects the American principles that built Ottawa County: freedom of speech, faith, personal responsibility, and a shared cultural foundation rooted in Christian and Western values. To return to a motto like "where you belong" may sound kind, but it reflects a growing push to redefine who we are, to appeal to outside groups, including foreign populations that may not share our values or respect our way of life. Let's be honest, not everyone belongs everywhere. We are not just a generic place on a map. Ottawa County has a proud identity that deserves protection. Multiculturalism, the idea that all cultures should coexist without question, sounds noble, but often leads to division, confusion, and the erosion of local customs and expectations. Communities that abandon their heritage to accommodate everyone end up belonging to no one. We've seen across the country, even Europe, what happens when towns and cities embrace open-ended inclusion at the expense of their founding values. Crime increases, division deepens, and the freedoms we took for granted begin to fade. We should welcome people who want to contribute and assimilate, but we should not be expected to reshape our culture for those who refuse to do so. Where freedom rings is not exclusionary, it is aspirational. It says that this is a place where liberty is honored, where the Constitution matters, and where traditional American values are still worth defending. I urge you to stand firm, keep the motto, keep the identity, keep Ottawa County a place where freedom truly rings. Thank you.
Number 9 is Deb Sizek, Port Sheldon Township.
Deb Isaac, Port Sheldon Township, District 1. I think I'm going to keep it pretty simple here. I'm asking that the current county motto, "where freedom rings," be permanently eliminated from county correspondence and media of any kind. This motto, hastily adopted and with limited and select Board of Commission discussion or engagement by the public, was the start of 2 years of continuous attacks on personal rights, parental rights, acceptance of those with different life choices, public schools, public libraries, Planned Parenthood, and most obvious, the Ottawa County Health Department staff and programming. Unfortunately, the work of our public health department, whose job is to serve the public and attend public events across the county to promote public health, is still being questioned by the very group who chose this motto. That doesn't promote freedom the way that I see it. Perhaps a motto or a catchphrase is not what we need at this time. What is needed is a group of commissioners focused on the business of the county, the budget, our parks, adequate housing, and employment opportunities. Please don't politicize the real needs of county residents by keeping a motto that has caused divisiveness and distrust in our county government since January of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac.
Number 10 is David Barnowski, Port Sheldon Township.
My name is Dave Barnowski and I vote in Port Sheldon Township. Did you miss me? I'm also here to speak about the county motto. The previous motto, "where you belong," was adopted after a long, thoughtful process. The most recent motto, "where freedom rings," was brought in by a radical, reactionary minority and adopted in one day. They imposed it without consulting anyone else. They didn't give any thought to anybody else but themselves. They all voted in minutes to put it on us. It should be rejected. The other one was brought in with a lot of consultation, a lot of discussion. If they want to have somebody else brought up not to throw out and not to waste a lot of money, changing letterhead. That's what they did. Right now, they should remove the current motto And if they want to have a model that actually reflects all of the county, and now that we're in a 4-year cycle, we should have the discussion with all of the people who genuinely reflect all of the people.
Thank you, Mr. Barnowski.
Number 11 was Kai Gritter from MSU Extension. But she's good. Number 12
Okay.
is
There she is.
Brian Everill, Holland Township.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Brian Everett. I'm a resident of Holland, Michigan, and have been a lifetime resident of Ottawa County. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak here. I've also been a longtime member of the performing arts community that just absolutely fills our area. And it's on their behalf that I would like to extend a thank you to this particular board, because 4 years ago, we brought to the city of Holland a proposal for a performing arts center, and your group was the one group that we found that was willing to discuss the process and have an open idea about whether it would work for us, and you're willing to have that discussion, which to me is huge. I'm not here to speak about mottos because I prefer actions. Mottos tend to be used when actions are lacked. But I also want to announce that I'm running for mayor in Holland. And there are a lot of issues in Holland that I think we share with the county. The housing situation, the unhoused, safety issues. And I look forward to working with this committee when I am mayor to solve those problems, not just for Holland, but for the entire area. I appreciate the dedication you guys give to your offices, and I look forward to helping you in any way that I can. With that said, if you want to know any more about me, you can find me at brian4holland.com. That's brian4holland.com. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Everill.
It's Everett.
Everett. Everett?
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 13 is Barbara Lee Van Horsen, Grand Haven City.
Barbara Lee Van Horsen, City of Grand Haven, and the Momentum Center. Not long ago, I was walking through the store when I heard somebody call my name. I turned around and there she was, a former Momentum Center member who had moved away. She threw her arms around me and with tears in her eyes said, "You saved my life." She wasn't talking about a therapist or medication. She was talking about community, about being seen, heard, and valued at the Momentum Center when she felt like she had nowhere else to turn. That's what we do. At the Momentum Center, we provide social and recreational mental health support with no diagnosis, no insurance, and no referral required. Just a safe place to belong. And we need more of that, now more than ever. But we can't do it without the mental health millage. Let me be clear, the millage is not a luxury, it is a lifeline, and it is set to expire. To understand why that matters, we need to look at the bigger picture. In the 1960s, we began moving people out of state hospitals with the promise of building a robust system of community-based care, but that promise was never fully kept. Federal funding dried up, and over time, the mental health safety net unraveled. By 2004, more people with serious mental illness were in jails and prisons than in hospitals. In Michigan, we've still not recovered from slashed mental health funding from a decade ago. And as we've heard, CMH is facing additional barriers. But thanks to the current millage, Ottawa County was able to shield some of those impacts and even innovate. One of those, we've supported essential programming, including the work we do at the Momentum Center, where we measurably reduce anxiety, depression, and isolation. For every dollar we receive from that millage, we create a $4 return on investment for this community. And still, 1 in 4 people struggle with mental illness. This affects all of us, our friends, our families, our neighbors, and ourselves. We can't rely on the state or federal government to fix this. This millage is our chance to act locally, to protect what works and to meet the growing need with compassion and courage. I'm asking you to raise your voice in the coming months. We're entering the last year of a 10-year millage. Raise your voice about renewing the mental health millage, and let's ensure that more people like the woman I encountered the other day have a chance to say, "You saved my life."
Thank you, Ms. Van Orson.
Number 14 is Orlando Estrada, City of Holland.
Some of you may not know who I am. I'm Orlando Estrada, born and raised in the city of Holland. And Joe, why are you sitting over there? Doug, I appreciate you returning my phone calls.
No problem.
Appreciate that. Jacob, miss you at the meetings. And anyway, hey, look, Joe Spallin's not here. Someone's got to do it, right? Anyway, so on a serious note here, a lot of people are complaining about the motto. Not here about that. But if I wanted to complain about it, the seal right there has the Indian head. I brought this up 2 years ago before I ran. And over here, we just kept the sand. I think we should be more concerned about that, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, so why am I here today? I've learned that there's a vacancy in the housing committee here in the county, and I am very interested in it. And I thought I should tell you guys all at once because it's kind of hard to call and email everybody because everybody has a life after this. And like Brian Everett was saying, who's running for mayor in the city of Holland, we have housing issues. We have a homeless issue. I did run on that. And, you know, it's good to work with people like Doug or people like Brian in Holland about what we can do to address those issues. So I'm just here that I want to work with everybody and work together about it. And people want to keep poking at the past, that's fine. But I just thought we could all smile at one time because why not? But that's really it. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you. Indeed.
Number 15 is Becky Patrick, Allendale Township.
Good evening, Commissioners. Becky Patrick, Allendale. I'm here to comment on your agenda item regarding elimination of the county motto. The county's current motto is "Where Freedom Rings." I'm going to predict that in a few minutes. You're going to hear from some of your colleagues asking you, how dare you as elected officials eliminate freedom as our motto? So let's answer that question. How dare you? The answer is you can dare to do it because this motto actually has very little to do with freedom. The motto does, however, have everything to do with deliberately denigrating, disparaging, and mischaracterizing the concept of belonging, which was the basis of the county's previous motto, "Where You Belong." Don't believe me? Let's take a look at the actual wording of the board resolution used to install "Where Freedom Rings" as the current Ottawa County motto. There are 18 whereas statements in that resolution that explain the reasons why Ottawa Impact wanted the new motto, ostensibly about freedom. But freedom wasn't the substance of the resolution. Of those 18 statements, 7 are about belonging, not freedom. Or more accurately, they were used to attack, denigrate, disparage, and mischaracterize what it means to belong. It starts out the series of attacks this way. Whereas Ottawa County's current vision statement of, quote, "Where You Belong," was used to establish the DEI department on the premise that county resident characteristics of being 90% white and largely conservative were problematic for businesses. It goes on for 6 more whereases. It summarizes the attacks by this truly twisted description of belonging. We oppose the teachings that divide and that teach people to hate America and doubt the goodness of her people. We oppose promotion of race equity teachings through government policy, employee training, and government schools. So here's my summary. The clear purpose of this resolution was to denigrate the previous motto in ways that were slanted and offensive to a significant percentage of Ottawa County residents. It had very little to do with freedom. Let's be clear. I am not asking you to reinstate the motto, "Where You Belong." But I am asking you to please not swallow the idea that you're somehow voting against freedom if you vote to eliminate the current motto. Look at the plain language of the resolution itself. Recognize that you're voting to remove a source of hurt, controversy, and division, not an innocent value statement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick.
Number 16 is Jim Kuiper, Holland Township.
You say Kuiper?
Kuiper.
Kuiper. Thank you, Mr. Kuiper.
Good evening. I'm Jim Kuiper. I'm in Holland Township. And sitting here listening to this discussion and the comments back and forth on the value of the current motto, there's a lot that I haven't given thought to. But as I listen to all these comments, things become more clear in my mind. I personally want to keep the motto that we have because I think it's important that everyone understands that Ottawa County is dedicated to the principle of freedom. Now, other people have indicated they don't agree with that particular interpretation. I see it that way, and I want to keep the motto as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuiper.
Number 17 is Steve Steffs, Polkton Township.
Good evening. First of all, I want to let everybody know that I'm not here to announce that I'm running for office. So you're all safe. But seriously, I do want to thank all of you for your commitment to Ottawa County and the residents here. I know it's a sacrifice of time, effort, and in many cases, even your reputation and standing within your families. So I know it's a tough job, and there's a reason there's only a few people that do it or can do it, and we do appreciate that. We all have different beliefs and convictions, and that's the beauty of living in a free country like we do today, because we can be here and we can talk about that openly without being worried about locked up or clubbed or hopefully not having our tires slashed when we leave, but that is reality. I was born and raised in Coopersville. I spent my first 20 years of life there before I went to the military academy. I moved around to different countries and other locations. I was in the first Gulf War, and the reason we went there is we fought for freedom, right? Now, however we want to talk about freedom, that's why our military exists, and we have freedom here. Freedom is not free. We have to fight for it. We all know that. We have elected officials, and we have our police and firemen who protect us so that we can live our lives. But I had classmates and comrades that, I've lost, protecting this country. And regardless of what everybody thinks, I think we're all here with the right intents. I think there is some influence out there, unfortunately, that's not good. And whether it doesn't matter what your political party is, it's out there. But personally, I have a hard time understanding why anybody is not comfortable with using the word freedom. And I do think we all have to step back, and whether you're worried about it being in a model or how it's being expressed, but the word freedom is a good thing, and we can't overemphasize use of that word because it's not automatic. I have been in countries that are currently communist, countries that were. Freedom is not existent like we see it here in the United States. And I'm telling you, we are under attack to include Ottawa County, which seems to be a particular target by some that are really concerned about what's going on in this, call it conservative county, if you want, but it's, we all live here and we all have respectful lives. So again, I just want to thank everybody for your efforts and for listening to myself and others that have different convictions than I do.
Thank you, Mr. Steffs, and thank you for your public service as well.
Number 18 is Rachel Driscoll.
Hello, my name is Rachel Driscoll. I live in Holland in District 2. I
offer my comment in support of the elimination of the current motto, where freedom rings. As previously noted, freedom is not the issue, but the issue is freedom for whom. This motto speaks to me, especially as changed from where you belong, speaks of freedom for a specific group of people, conservative, married, straight, white, Christian, cisgender folks with good employment. What about our Black brothers and sisters? What about other folks of color? What about our immigrant communities? What about those who believe differently? What about gender and sexual minorities? What about those who believe differently? What about single folks? What about folks who are disabled, whether visibly or otherwise? What about them? What about us? Because they and we are here. Don't we deserve freedom too? And welcome and safety? Things which, by the way, Christian scripture and Jesus himself asks of those of us who call ourselves Christian in Exodus, Deuteronomy, Leviticus, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Matthew, Romans, and Hebrews, to name just a few. If you want chapter and verse, I have receipts. Here are just a few of them. Isaiah 6, the opening verses of Isaiah 61, the closing section of Matthew 25, Ezekiel 47:22, Jeremiah 7:5 through 7, 1 John 4:20. Our county is a diverse one. Despite having there are a majority of folks who are, anyway, our county is a diverse one, and we need to recognize that. And our government needs to make sure that it speaks to the safety and welcome and freedom for all of us, not just those who look, live, and believe like those in power. That is why I support the removal of the motto where freedom rings. I'd like to go back to where you belong, but for now, I will settle for the elimination of the current one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Driscoll.
Those are all the registered public comments we have, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else online?
You have one public comment online?
Couple no audience person. Oh, excuse me. Is there anybody else here before we go online, Justin? Anyone else here that was not on the list? Welcome. Just come forward. There's a couple of you, so just identify yourself if you would and where you're from.
Very good. My name is Karen DeVries. I'm from Holland, and I don't have anything written. I've got a few thoughts. I never understood, or I shouldn't say understood, I never appreciated freedom like I became appreciative of freedom once COVID hit. As a mother, as a parent of children in high school, of a child with Down syndrome, to slap masks on his face because he was ordered to was wrong. And my parental rights, his rights to smile, were taken away. So I take freedom very, very seriously. I was thinking today, the first person who spoke had a huge list of freedoms that were removed that shocked me back in the day. And I was so thankful when we thought that era was over. I was thinking about the time when we were trying to travel up north, and I was feeling nervous to be pulled over because we were supposedly not to leave our homes or our home district. What about the freedom of movement? That was taken away by our health departments. So freedom is very, very, very important. So let me just say a couple of quotes that I came across. This is from our founding fathers. This is from Thomas Paine. It is impossible to conquer a nation determined to be free. Samuel Adams, our unalterable resolution should be to be free. But a constitution, and this is John Adams, but a constitution of government once changed from freedom can never be restored. Liberty once lost is lost forever. I appreciate the concerns of those that appreciated the previous motto where everyone belongs. But I don't think in Ottawa County that was the case, because I certainly didn't belong when I tried to go to the store without a mask on. I didn't belong when I denied a vaccination for my kids. So the freedom that this is talking about is freedom for all your beliefs and mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DeVries.
Hi, Karen Obitz, Spring Lake. I hope this makes sense. Wrote it while I was sitting here. My comment is in regard as well to agenda item 8D on the question of eliminating the county motto. In preparing the very first public comment I offered in this room on January 10, 2020, was it 3? I had to make some difficult choices about which of the topics I wanted to cover I'd actually have time to address. And in retrieving my saved copy of that comment the other day, I see that I was unable to retain my comments expressing my opposition to the motto, where freedom is. Instead, I focused more on expressing my disagreement with the decision to close the DEI office. But as you've been reminded by others who've already given public comment this evening, it's clear that Ottawa Impact's decision to change the county motto is directly related to their opposition to the focus and work of the county's former DEI office. So there's clearly more going on here than defending our constitutional rights for freedoms. As for the portion of my initial draft of that very first comment, which addressed my opposition to the new motto, that seems to have ended up on the cutting room floor, what I wanted to say is that I fear the answers to these two questions, freedom for whom and freedom for or from what, would soon become evident in Ottawa Impact-inspired decisions in ways I feared would have devastating effects on county employees and residents. As of today, after having observed the impact of the actions of the prior board for those 2.5 years, I now know that my fears about what the answers to those two questions might be were indeed justified. So in summary, again, I endorse the elimination of the county motto. While it's clear that the proposal to eliminate it has raised the kind of controversy on display here this evening, I think its elimination will have a positive impact in support of the efforts of the current board to help move us forward beyond a time of deep division and engage in the work of healing and repair. And that, for me, carries far more weight than a desire to avoid conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Obitz.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Joan Bailey. I'm a precinct delegate in Grand Haven, and I can't always attend the meetings due to a schedule change, so probably a good thing. So I do email quite regularly, and I have to say I'm a little disappointed in the lack of response back from my commissioner, as well as Chairman Teeples, as well as Vice Chair. I always thought that was part of the commissioner's job to respond to the tax-paying citizens of Ottawa County. Apparently, I'm mistaken. So I will continue to email because I've lived in this county for almost 40 years. So I've paid my fair share of taxes. And when I want questions answered, I do expect an answer. I don't necessarily feel that we have to agree on everything. That's fine if we disagree. However, I would like an answer. On the topic of the motto, I don't ever write anything down either because I talk from the heart. Listening to all the comments, DEI has been abolished at the federal level. So I'm not sure why this is an issue in Ottawa County unless we're kind of like behind the 8 ball because our current administration has eliminated it. So why this is a topic, I'm not sure. But I look at it like, Ottawa Impact was accused of wasting taxpayer money by changing the motto. And now we want to change it again, which is wasting more taxpayer money. And I'm thinking to myself, God, there's bigger fish to fry. I mean, the Campbell plant, affordable housing. I mean, I could just go on and on. Finding a county administrator, things like that. If you don't like the freedom rings, which I do, because the gal 2 back said it perfectly, just don't have one and focus on what really needs to happen in this county, the things I mentioned plus more. So that being said, maybe you ought to take that into consideration because this seems kind of the minutia compared to other issues facing our growing county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey.
Good evening. Jerry McCaleb, West Olive. And I find it fascinating that we are fighting over the word freedom, whether we could allow it in our county motto or not. But I remember Chair Teeple's words when he was chosen to be chair, and he in his speech he said, I really, block voting is not something that we should do. Everybody needs to, with the inference that everybody needs to decide for himself on every issue. And I think, well, I was kind of aiming at the four what are now minority, the minority bloc. The thing is that when you say that and make inference to the minority bloc, because over time he keeps bringing this up that, oh yeah, but those four commissioners always voted together, without saying that his remaining commissioners also always voted together. So is there a difference between this block voting together or that block voting together? Not in my sight, but evidently there is to Chair Teeple's. So today we face this issue of wiping the motto "Where Freedom Rings" from Ottawa County. And why are we doing this? Because this seems, as Joan just said, kind of, don't we have bigger fish to fry? But the answer is because you can. You've got a majority, and your majority always sticks together. And even though you have freedom to vote another way and vote your conscience, even we came to Robert's rules. You voted as a block. You even voted to change Robert's rules as a block for convenience sake. Has the change in that Robert's rules ever had done anything? I don't think so, but you did it anyway. So I think at that point Commissioner Moss handed you his page out of Robert's Rules book that changed that. So by rejecting the motto, are you righting the ship? Is that what you campaigned on? Is this what's going to change Ottawa County? Is this how you're going to fix it? By taking the word freedom out of the motto or eliminating the motto, or down the road, are you going to create another one? This is fascinating to me. It's beyond silly. Is it a payback? Is it a payoff? It's stupid to be doing this at this time, in this place, in this way, out of whose recommendation? The administrator? That even didn't come from one of you? I find this fascinating. But you do have the freedom to vote on this. And I hope that somewhere in the next 4 years, or whatever 3 years are left, that somebody breaks a pattern. And I hope that one of you good gentlemen that were elected by Democrats, pretending as you, so I won't go that any farther.
Thank you,
but that you're going to, somebody's going to actually vote their conscience and stop being a block. Thank you. You bet.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christy Maplink from Zealand Township. I'm actually bringing multiple voices together with what I'm sharing here tonight. Where freedom rings. America is the greatest country on earth, where freedom rings louder than anywhere else. America is where dreams soar because of freedom, true freedom. Our founding fathers didn't create America for belonging. They created it for freedom, unapologetic, raw, and real freedom, freedom for everyone. Lincoln gave slaves freedom, not belonging. Martin Luther King said, "Let freedom ring," not belonging. Foreigners flocked to America for freedom, not belonging. This land was built on the bold courage of those looking for freedom, as shared by the one gentleman earlier tonight. Soldiers fought and died for freedom, not belonging. Children and families have sacrificed time with military family members, not for belonging, but freedom. Freedom is a gift, and it doesn't come cheap. This new board is the board that is politicizing freedom and wanting to eliminate a motto that is a true sentiment of what Ottawa County should be, where freedom rings. There is nothing more noble than standing for freedom. We should embrace our freedom with joy and tell those who live, work, and come here that we think that freedom is of utmost importance. This board is capitulating to those who have feelings over the truth of freedom. If you can't get your feelings out of the way of having a motto signifying freedom for all, please exit and let an adult handle your position. Before you even brought this matter forward for a vote, you have silently started removing where freedom rings from county correspondence, and that is deceitful. Trying to strip away our freedoms and potentially take us back to a slogan that is based in socialism and entitlement goes against our state and U.S. Constitution. Not to mention it directly violates our elected officials' oath to office. Look up We All Belong or Belonging, and you will find that it is all about feelings, to help people feel comfortable in certain groups. Why in the world would we want to show that we want to segregate people into groups? That is where all the isms start, and that is where America falls apart. Where freedom rings isn't polarizing. It isn't political. It is a way of life. It is truth in America and should be what we strive for in Ottawa County. When we are a county where freedom rings, where individual freedoms, parental rights, and freedom of religion and conscience are protected, all people belong, all are welcome. That's why people are flocking to Ottawa County for freedom. There is no better gift to people than freedom. Ottawa County has the best possible motto it could have right now, where freedom rings, because no one fights or dies for belonging.
Thank you, Ms. McClick.
Good evening, Board. I had a speech prepared, but we're going to not use it.
Could you identify yourself, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Kurt Meplink. I vote in Zeeland Township, sometimes twice. So, hey, wasn't supposed to say that. Sorry, Justin. So I wanted to talk. It's interesting. I learned some things listening to people here tonight. And I agree with Dan Zimmer on some stuff and even Dave Barnowski, the guy that said, what would you do if you were in the jail and it said where freedom rings? Well, what would you do if you were in the jail and it said where you belong? Kind of odd, isn't it? I'm not trying to make fun of it. I'm just being serious here. So, Ottawa County, we got some tough stuff to do here. We've lived through a period of time where the media, imagine if the media treated you, board, the way they treated the last board. Holy crap, where's Matt Wilkos? Where's Sarah Leach? Where's this stuff? Seriously, ask yourself that. Serious business. Pound sand about the motto. I like it. I do. I think it's great. I think on 4th of July, I'm pretty sure everybody was having a great time. They were enjoying the 249th year going into the 250th year. We're Americans. There's a lot bigger fish to fry than whether it's where freedom rings or where you belong or just nothing. Imagine if the previous board had some of the same problems you did finding an administrator. Don't be clowns. Just don't. You guys passed out a book. I was here. It was about what you learned in to be first year kindergarten or whatever it was. Did some of you read the Cliff Notes version? I don't know. Did some of you read it? Did some of you throw it away? I don't know. Set it next to the toilet next time. Read it. Ottawa County, contact these people. I've contacted some of them. Thank you, Doug. Doug and I probably don't have as much in common as some, but he answers me intelligently. He's kind to me. I try to be kind to him.
You are very kind, so.
But Phil, Maxine Waters, I have nothing in common with her. She made a great statement a while back. It was interesting. It was get up in these people's faces in restaurants. Ottawa County, these people work for you. America, it is a participative government. You have to participate. These people are here for us. So I like the motto, keep it, don't keep it, but don't make it vindictive. Don't be a kindergartner over it. I've seen a lot of kindergarten and stuff go on here. No eye rolling, that kind of stuff. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
Well, I like the Indian too.
Greetings, Commissioner. Sean Half from Georgetown Township. I'm asking you to keep the current county motto, please. Liberty and freedom are values that are deeply embedded in our nation's history and our nation's tradition. Some of my favorite historical quotes in American history revolve around freedom and liberty. Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." General John Stark of New Hampshire said, "Live free or die," which is now the New Hampshire motto. And Ronald Reagan said, "Tear down the wall, Mr. Gorbachev." And the wall came down, and the people of Germany and East German city of Berlin and West Germany became free. The Republican Party has a great history of promoting freedom. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Under the guidance of Ronald Reagan, the Cold War ended and the evil empire fell. Now, if you look at the reasons people are given to vote against the current motto, I don't think these are very good reasons. It seems like everybody that came up here, one of the main points that was brought up over and over again was, well, the previous board did this, therefore it must be bad and we have to change it. And I don't think that's a good enough reason to change it. There's been other reasons brought up. I'm not going to get into all the COVID issues. That's been covered by a lot of people. I would just say never forget that. I like the current motto. I also noticed that a lot of people speaking out against it. I'd be willing to bet a few dollars that they vote Democrat. With all due respect to Doug, there's only one Democrat on this board here and 10 Republicans. I know my commissioner is going to vote for it to keep the motto as is, and I'd ask everybody else to vote as well to keep the current motto. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heff. Anyone else here would like to address the board? Okay, Justin, who do you have online?
We have one online public comment. That is Adria Hill. Adria, if you could unmute and state your name and jurisdiction, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Adria Hill from Holland Township. So the hot topic of the day seems to be the county motto. I too want to live in a city, state, and county where freedom does ring for everyone. But by the time I'm done, I hope you see that why I think this should not be the agenda item that garners so much attention. The unfortunate thing is how much attention is being given to these 3 words. We spent close to 60 minutes of public comment, and based on previous behaviors, I suspect some commissioners have written out a 2+ page statement, which will repeatedly attack other commissioners for not valuing freedom. Other commissioners, especially other Republicans, will be forced to defend their personal values, and I expect this back and forth to go on until someone calls the question. This type of behavior is inappropriate and embarrassing for an elected board. Because there is no strategic plan that directs county staff and officials how to uphold the current motto, and because the current motto was created without transparency behind the scenes by unknown individuals, it is serving no purpose. It is simply 3 words added to the county's logo. The motto should be removed. I'm glad I have found common ground with Ms. Bailey, Mr. Meppelink, and other commenters who recognize there are more important things to do. So instead of spending so much time on these 3 words, here are the areas I think you need to be working on. Number 1, the hiring of a new administrator. This board should be figuring out how you are going to overcome the issues that has led to 2 failed administrator searches in the last year. The second thing is this board should be focused on the budget. How should our tax dollars be spent next year? Those 2 areas, that is where your efforts should be going. To the community, I appreciate those who have spoken up in support or against the current motto. Whether you have done that in comments online, discussions with community members, reaching out to your elected representative, or making a public comment. I challenge you to invoke that same passion for the administrator search, budget, and other agenda items that actually have an impact on how our government operates and the service it provides. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Anyone else, Justin?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so that ends the public comment period. Thank you for everyone for your comments, truly. And then you need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next one on the agenda is I need a motion to approve the consent resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
Comments?
Roll call.
Okay, I guess we're ready for a roll call on this.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
Mr. Bonema,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Oh, she's
She's right
coming.
here.
Mrs. Okay. Sorry, Mrs. Wenzel, we're calling your vote on the consent resolution. You're fine. Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Joritsma,
Yes.
Mr. Bruger,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we're in action, or item number 8, action items. We've got some motions from the appointment and alignment.
Want me to read those?
Want to bring the first one?
Sure.
Okay.
This motion, I move to approve the nomination of Angie Barksdale to the Community Corrections Advisory Board Workforce Investment Board member seat, vacancy beginning immediately and ending December 31, 2026.
Support.
Okay. Comments? No one? Okay, I don't think we need a roll call on this one. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. All right, the next one, Housing Commission bylaws. Want to bring that into?
Sure.
John?
Yep. Motion to approve the updated Ottawa County Housing Commission bylaws.
Second.
Comments, questions? Yeah, everybody's okay? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Opposed.
Did you-
Get that.
Motion
Jeff?
passed. Okay, got it. Okay, next thing is from the administration. It's the amendment to Gary's employment agreement. Let me just hit this one, hit the highlights on this one. Well, somebody needs to bring a motion.
I move to approve the amended employment agreement with the interim county administrator.
Support.
Okay, so what this does is, as you could see in the packet, it changes the term to December 31 of this year, essentially. But what it primarily does is makes Gary eligible for the county's retirement program, like all the other county employees, like including Ron France. That's really the essence of it. That's it, right, Joe?
One comment, in number 3 on the first page, it says, at the end of that sentence, the employment term shall be month to month, but otherwise the terms of this agreement shall continue in effect. I think it has an extra "the" in there. We just motion to remove the.
Sure. Allison?
Additionally, I noticed in that same paragraph, how it's currently worded, we will be employing 2 administrators in a loosely defined timeline. I think I know what the intention is with the wording, but I think it should say continue up to 30 days past the hiring of a permanent administrator, and then you'll have a defined timeline.
Is that like a friendly amendment?
Yeah, those are just administrative issues.
I would make that
Yeah.
motion to
I would just
join it with Joe.
fix those. Those are just administrative things. So up to 30 days past the hiring of the administrator.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll accept the friendly amendment.
Support.
There
we go.
Anybody have any, all in favor of those 2 suggestions to amend his draft agreement? Say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Now we're back to the original motion to approve his contract amendment. All in favor, say aye.
I think we do need a roll call on this, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, you need a roll
I
call?
think we need a,
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yes.
Mr. Bruger,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Bonema,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
yes.
Mr. Joritsma,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
and Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, the next is the, deals with the county motto. Need a motion to,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the elimination of the Ottawa County motto of "Where Freedom Rings."
okay. Comments? Who wants to start it? Allison?
I would like to just ask a couple questions first, because I'm guessing that there's some members of the board that probably have been thinking through this for a little while, but from my perspective, it came on Friday. And so I haven't heard any conversations about that at a committee or anything. So I guess my overarching question is the timing for this. And I'm just wondering, I felt like we were making some really good gains and progress and trying to work together on hiring an administrator. And it kind of caught me off guard that this would be the timing that we would look at potentially eliminating a motto. And so I just wondered if Chair Teeples, if you wouldn't mind speaking to that, or if anyone else would like to chime in. I do have some things I would like to say, but that would be my overarching question.
I'll be happy to. So first of all, this is not a Gary Rosema issue. This is the chair's agenda, as we always have done. That we've been hearing about this issue for months. So it was time in a lull of action, so to speak, on the board, because we know starting next month, we'll be back to the administrative search process and all the things that go along with that. So it was just time to bring an issue that was sitting in the wings forward. And that's as simple as that. Thought it was a good time because it was quieter now than it would be in August or September. Yeah, Jacob.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. Several comments tonight referred to the potential associated costs with this change, and we're just deleting the motto. Is there somebody that could speak to what the estimated costs would be? I remember when it happened last time to go to Where Freedom Rings, when I asked, I think the estimate, and please check me if I'm wrong, but it was like $15,000-ish, something like that. But I think it would be good for the public to know if there is an associated cost, what that number actually is.
Well, again, the idea when it was originally put together, there was graphic designs and they had employee meetings and they put a lot of time and effort into it. I don't know what type of cost was associated when it was changed to Where Freedom Rings. And looking at this process right now, again, so much of the stuff is computerized and we don't go out to printers necessarily now with graphic designs and stuff. We just eliminate, the wording, on different types of ideas and letterheads. Each department is identified with using the logo. Some of them use the statement, the motto, some of them don't. And so again, the idea of being consistent in, having department heads put their departments under the logo, or even what we did with the communications department when they put individual commissioners, names and districts and stuff that were represented. That was all done with in-house.
Pretty negligible, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
as far as
it is.
Just deleting if that happens tonight? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if we send it out to graphics, that's where the cost comes, and we don't plan on doing that.
Okay.
Nelson, we continue.
Yeah, I appreciate the questions those were some of the ones that I've had others reaching out and just wondered on the timing. I guess some had thought that if the new board majority had wanted to put the new motto, change a motto or eliminate it, it would be maybe something done during a strategic plan. But yes, I would love to be able to just share some thoughts. I wrote them more so that constituents understand kind of where I'm coming from, and recognizing that if the majority of the board wants to eliminate the motto, that is every right to have that happen. So for me, a vision statement such as a motto helps to focus in on what matters and where every other decision comes from. Churches and businesses create them. Sometimes even individual families do. Our own nation has the motto, "In God we trust." "In God we trust" reminds us how we began as a nation and who we are to seek after for wisdom and discernment. There is purpose and intention in why this board chooses to begin our meetings in prayer. The concept of freedom has been hardwired into each of us since the creation of the world. Over the course of history, freedoms have had to be intentionally fought for, and our own nation's founding was one of the biggest experiments of all time. The motto, "Where Freedom Rings," was voted in on January 3, 2023, as a promise to the people of Ottawa County that their voices had been heard, that government did indeed need to be kept in its lane, and that the gift of freedom was one that would be continuously fought for, whether in easy or hard times that fell upon our community. This vision statement sets a county's ultimate ideal or goal, where individual freedoms, parental rights, and freedom of religion and conscience are protected, all people belong, and where we welcome all to live, work, worship, and raise a family in Ottawa County. The ultimate purpose of government is to protect and to secure the rights of its citizens. May we never forget. Here are tangible ways that from 2023 through the present that a few of us have stood to protect and to secure those rights. A few very short years ago during the COVID pandemic, we faced a government locally here in our county, our schools, our state, and our nation that horrifically abused the ultimate purpose of government. Ongoing lockdowns, great economic loss to businesses and families, threatened jail time for schools and businesses that knew their constitutional rights, masking, testing, and isolating the healthy, separating citizens into classes of vaccinated versus unvaccinated, the proclamation of a winter of death from a sitting president for citizens who were not vaccinated, and for the first time in our nation's history, shaming or coercing parents to save grandpa and grandma through their children. Up until that point in our nation's history, it was the children that all adults sought to protect. This was a large reason that the newly elected board of 2023 through 2024 changed the motto on day one. It was our demonstration to the people that their voices were heard and would not be forgotten. It was time for a reset. This was a tangible way to demonstrate we are here to protect and secure the rights of each Ottawa County citizen. Another tangible way we acted to protect and secure everyone's rights was letting the past Corporation Counsel, Doug Van Essen, go on January 3, 2023, and hiring Kelman Legal, a highly recognized and respected constitutional law firm. For a bit of very short history, Doug Van Essen served as this county's Corporation Counsel during the time of COVID and was behind the threats of throwing people in jail and put heavy pressure on health department staff and county board leadership to continue masking our children in the fall of 2021. Earlier this year, the board majority proceeded to hire Ron Bolche as interim counsel. Ron Bolche turned and hired Doug Van Essen as an employee of his firm, and now Doug has slid back into the seat of Corporation Counsel, just not during the face of the meetings at the county. And this was never brought forward in a transparent manner to the public or to the entire board. This does not reflect where freedom ranks. Again, the ultimate purpose of government is to protect and to secure the rights of its citizens, not just when things are going well, all the time. May we never forget. How else did we put action to where freedom rings? Yes, we did shut down the DEI department on January 3, 2023. Surrounding the years of the pandemic, DEI had been brought into our county. The county had been strategically selected to be one of the first counties to implement it alongside a very unaligned progressive cities such as Portland, Oregon. Each part of this country has a history and a story. So does ours. Does that mean everyone is or should be Dutch? Absolutely not. But if we know our history and our roots, we will realize it's actually something quite beautiful and something to be proud of. All people should be free to obtain a job through merit, character, and excellence, and should not be passed up because they're not the right skin color, nationality, gender, or sexuality. And at the same time, freedom of conscience and parental rights must be protected. Our county was the first in the nation to close its DEI department. Now, a couple of years later, the nation has seen the damage its ideology has brought with it, and with its collective vote is seeing it being taken out of our nation's government and schools. Again, the ultimate purpose of government is to protect and to secure the rights of its citizens, not just when things are going well, all the time. May we never forget. There are many more examples I could give, but I will end with one more tangible way we believe that freedom is for everyone. Earlier this year, there was one long 9-hour day and one shorter day discussing what our board rules would be. It was time well spent from my perspective. When one of those items was regarding the invocation or prayer before our board meetings. A well-meaning commissioner invited everyone to stand as he led the prayer that morning. I chose to stay seated and explained why later when the invocation came up during that section of the board rules discussion. I explained that there are individuals that do not believe in God that attend our meetings, and I did not want unnecessary attention to be drawn to them if they chose to sit. Prayer is an invitation to join together in communication to our Creator, our loving and just Heavenly Father. A relationship with Jesus, the Savior of the world, is something I personally desire for each person, but it must be a choice. It's not love if it's forced or pressured on someone. Again, freedom is for everyone. Those are just a few reasons why I have stood, and continue to stand by our county motto, where freedom rings. It is for everyone, not just a few, no matter what anyone says. And it invites accountability and personal self-reflection, pointing us back to the Constitution and, for me personally, God's Word. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Just want to remind the board that there, obviously we know there was no issue here that under Robert's rules, we have time limits, but they're generous. So thank you.
Given 10 minutes, just so that you know in Robert's
Yeah,
rule.
we're in good shape. So I just want to make sure that we know that. So, all right, who else wants to comments?
Sure.
Sylvia?
Yes, I'll share a few thoughts too. Our nation was founded by wise men who believed in the power of words, the power to overthrow tyranny, to topple kings, and to birth a new nation. Our founders labored over every word of our founding documents, convinced that a people given the chance to fully experience their God-given freedoms could self-govern and sustain a nation truly of, by, and for the people. Built on the brilliance of their hard work and sacrifice, America has been blessed with nearly 250 years of freedom. Throughout our history, moments have come when courage and words were needed to defend our nation from threats within and without. Since 2020, America has faced dark days, marked by the COVID-19 pandemic, government overreach, the rise of Marxist DEI ideology, and a state and federal administration unwilling to defend our freedoms. We experienced these things deeply in Ottawa County, where COVID-19 health measures and legal enforcement were among the harshest in our state. In May of 2021, the people repeatedly brought a resolution to restore freedom to the Board of Commissioners, presenting local data, the numerous harms to children, and a path forward to restore freedom, signed by almost 3,000 residents and numerous elected officials. I'm going to read an excerpt from that because it helps us to remember what our people were going through. An excerpt read, "Younger members of our county are not at significant risk from the COVID-19 virus, with 0 deaths age 0 to 19, and a recovery rate of over 99% through age 59, which represents over 80% of our county population. Mandated measures of masking children as young as 2 years of age, coerced testing of teen athletes, and quarantining students with negligible illness surfacing have negatively affected social emotional development and education, and deprived children of positive activities and once-in-a-lifetime events. The risk of anxiety, depression, and death from suicide has increased and is a greater risk to our youth than COVID-19, a mental health crisis which must be weighed. Area hospitals are not filled with youth with COVID-19, but rather with youth on suicide watch, as local inpatient mental health facilities are filled to capacity." The board refused to consider the resolution, writing Governor Whitmer instead to ask her to confirm that they had no authority. In August of 2021, 1,000 parents filled this building to protest the county's irrational continuation of tyrannical masking of our children moving into the 2021 to 22 school year. Our children were the least at risk of harm from disease, but bore the brunt of educational, developmental, social, and psychological harm. Similarly, Ottawa County's early embrace and promotion of DEI gave families firsthand experience of its harmful impact, especially on children in schools. From 2017 to 2023, Where You Belong functioned as a county motto, built on the DEI language of belonging. Under this motto, the county launched wide-reaching DEI initiatives designed to reshape the demographics and culture of our fast-growing county. County leadership viewed the county's predominantly white conservative population as a problem to solve, and this was said out loud numerous times. Their goal? To change not only the race of the people, but also their deeply held beliefs, especially on issues of sexuality and gender. In 2021, the Biden administration amplified DEI across America, confirming its Marxist design to reshape children's thinking and undermine core institutions. In 2022, the people elected a new majority to the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners, leaders who promised to realign county government with the constitutional freedoms of its people and protect against growing threats to freedom, family, and faith. On January 3, 2023, that promise was kept. The new board took decisive action, removing the leaders responsible for COVID-19 tyranny, closing the DE&I department, and passing a resolution to adopt a new county vision statement, Where Freedom Rings. The resolution embraced freedom and a love for all people, affirming where freedom rings, where individual freedoms, parental rights, and freedom of religion and conscience are protected, all people belong. A county's vision statement serves as its North Star, guiding every decision and shaping the work of every department. Words matter. Freedom matters. There's no greater duty of government and no higher calling than to protect the freedom of its people. Upon entering office, we swore an oath to uphold the constitutions of the United States and the state of Michigan, which protect the natural God-given rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and guarantee our freedoms. And now, less than a month after celebrating America's Independence Day, this board is moving to strip freedom from Ottawa County's vision. This is not leadership, this is surrender. Words matter. So do political alliances. The truth is, this uniparty majority owes its power to Democrat voters and establishment power brokers. You cannot pretend to champion freedom while serving those who oppose it. Doug Van Essen, the attorney who advised Ottawa County to champion COVID restrictions alongside the Whitmer administration, has been returned to corporate counsel work under the facade of working for another attorney, after promising that you would not do so. Freedom is no longer a priority for this board. And while transparency and honesty may be in short supply, at least you are being honest that you do not prioritize freedom. I believe freedom should always serve as the North Star of government. So for that reason, I will be voting no to eliminate freedom.
George?
It's clear that there are strong opinions on both sides of this topic. I really do have a lot of respect for both. There are great aspects of the former motto and the current motto. I really like Gary mentioned, the process that went into picking the former motto. I do like the message of freedom. This is not an indictment on the concept of freedom. But the reality for me is, Ottawa County is a place where freedom rings and where you belong. But I still believe that it's better that we just let the people of Ottawa County speak for themselves. When people come here, they will know what Ottawa County is like, not by 3 words written on a sign, but how we interact with them, how we treat them, how we talk with them. They'll see that Ottawa County is a place of freedom and a place of belonging. So that I'll be voting in favor of this. I think we get just as far having no motto as having to pick one or the other.
Else? Jacob? Joe?
Trying to let some of the people who are voting to eliminate it go first. Be happy to speak, but typically Robert's rules goes back and forth.
Doug, you want to go?
No, say how much I appreciated Jordan's statement. Freedom and belonging are two of the most, for me, the most dynamic parts of what makes this country great. And, this is definitely not about removing freedom as one of our principles. It's about making sure that, united action is married to liberty to, make us the strongest community as we can be, so.
I can go.
You guys are up to it?
Nearly 62 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King shared his dream with us. On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he paid homage to the man whose shadow he was standing in. It had been 100 years since Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And as King put it, 100 years later, the Negro was still not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro was still crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. America had come up short, far short of its promise that all men, black men as well as white men, were guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In 1788, the Constitution, guaranteeing the principles of the Declaration of Independence, was ratified. From the time of its ratification to the time that Dr. King delivered his speech on August 23, 1963, Black Americans had been denied their rights for 175 years. They had been enslaved. They were pieces of property to be whipped, beaten, separated from their family members, sold to the highest bidder, or sent downriver for worse. In King's time, they were denied the right to vote, denied the right to a fair trial, denied the right to drink water from a white man's drinking fountain. In Montgomery, Alabama, if picked up by a bus at all, a black man or woman was relegated to the back seat. In Jackson, Mississippi, if a black man made eye contact with a white woman, he could be hung for it. No due process, no rights, lynched. It was against this backdrop that Martin shared his dream for America. He referenced a song, "My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring." And he went on, "Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring." After 75 years in slavery and 100 years of segregation, Dr. King called out for freedom to ring for his people. After 8 months of mask mandates in Michigan, 240 days, some here called out for freedom to ring. June 2021 to February of 2022, 8 months. After 10 years of DEI being promoted from the White House in hopes of righting wrongs created by nearly 2 centuries of slavery and segregation, and make no mistake, there were DEI initiatives that went too far, but none so far that the former board or any of us could claim that we earned the right to carry the mantle of Dr. Martin Luther King. The January 2023 resolution to establish where freedom rings as a new county vision statement included the following. We agree with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. We agree with his dream and his desire to let freedom ring in every city and state across our nation. We agree with the historical significance of these words to the American people's struggle for freedom. Got a few images of their struggle for freedom. This is a whites-only drinking fountain. Ruby Bridges trying to go to school in a white school only. Rosa Parks trying to ride a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Bull Connor's attack dogs. Birmingham, Alabama, fire hoses turned on nonviolent protesters at a sit-in. And the KKK. If it's not abundantly clear that the adoption of the phrase "let freedom ring" on the heels of the struggle of Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement and his "I have a dream" speech, if it's not abundantly clear that that was a mistake from the outset, I don't know what more could be said to soften hardened hearts. But even so, I have hope. Hope that one day the residents of Ottawa County will join together and, in the words of Dr. King, hew out of this mountain of despair a stone of hope. I have hope that the goodness of mankind will rise above the grievances that we all carry. I have hope that one day the silos of separation in Ottawa County will be torn down and their pieces and parts will be used to build up people united in our common cause to see the promises of the Declaration of Independence become real. Not just for ourselves, not just for our family, our friends, our neighbors, for those who think like us, not just for Republicans, not just for Democrats, but for all people, for Black people, white people, brown people, for men, women, and children, for the current generation and for future generations. I do have hope. And like Dr. King, I have faith. Faith that one day, as he said, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. And with this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to stand up for freedom together. Today, the first step on that path that gives us even the smallest chance of realizing Dr. King's dream for everyone requires that we move on from the past. It requires that we move on from where you belong. It requires that we move on from where freedom rings. We have not lived up to these proclamations. But today, we can all wipe the slate clean. And the first step is to do away with the old so that something new can be created. My hope today is that we would all join together on this board and do this together. Thank you.
Jim? Just want to weigh in on a couple thoughts. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Apparently 3 words are in the ear of whoever's hearing it or listening to it. And it's as clear tonight, people hear "where freedom rings" or "where you belong," and some people hear one thing and other people hear something else. I saw somebody dug up a interesting fact from Michigan Association of Counties. About half the counties in the state of Michigan apparently don't have a motto. My thinking about a motto is it's not really a vision statement. It's a sort of a tagline. It's might be the introduction to a vision statement. A vision statement might be a good exercise for this board when we work around a strategic plan. That's something that we could build upon. I think we've heard some strong opinions, great thoughts from people with different perspectives on this. This board also has a lot of work to get done here in the next couple of months. And I'm of the opinion that this is a point of division. I would rather just not have a motto. Let's go forward and let's get the people's business done.
Bill?
Thank you. I think Commissioner Bruger has highlighted the critical importance of freedom by everything that he said, why it should be the number one priority of this board and why it was established as the number one priority, not just coming out of COVID and government overreach and a DEI department pushing harmful ideology and things like that, but because of our nation's history and because of the Declaration of Independence and because of that promise to all people. It should be number one. It should be visible. We are the leaders elected in Ottawa County, yes, to serve the people, but also to lead. I want to see freedom continue to be the number one priority for this board. I never want to go back to a place where I'm being threatened with jail by our county or anyone else. And keeping freedom the number one priority is part of that. Where you belong, as was mentioned by someone in public comment, was a lie. It was good to replace it. It seems to me that the chair would not have brought this item to the board without some assurance that it would pass to eliminate the motto. And in listening to some of my fellow commissioners' comments, I have a recommendation. Take it or leave it, like it or not. I'd love to propose it and see what you think. I believe it's in line with what actually a lot of people have said. And as far as a motto goes, it's not only one of the best in the country, but it's well established. It's also very difficult to criticize, very positive. So, in an effort to bring that unity, as we've heard, I'd love the board to consider, I do have a motion, but I'd love the board to consider adopting our nation's motto in place of our current motto. If you don't know it, it is "In God We Trust." It's on our currency. It has been used by many states, approved by Congress. It's tried and true. So my motion would be to replace the county motto with our nation's motto, "In God We Trust."
I support that motion.
Yeah, I think it's great. I liked "Where Freedom Rings" too. A question for you. Where did "Where Freedom Rings" come from? Who suggested that? I always wondered, because it just happened on January 3, but what was the process behind coming up with that?
A lot of discussion and listening to constituents and their desire for freedom and to have the county prioritize freedom when it hadn't before.
But who came up with it to actually bring it to the county?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
No, I think "In God We Trust." I think if we could put that into our strategic planning meeting, to have a process behind this. I think one of the things that we could learn from this last go around and bringing in "Where Freedom Rings" was that we didn't do enough to build consensus around it, that there was a group of people who felt like it was a direct attack on them in some way, shape, or form. When, from my perspective, well, to begin with, I think this was pretty low on my list of things to talk about. I wanted to focus on the administrator, and I understand that we're in a lull right now, and I want to compliment our chair's desire to continue to focus on bringing us together and finding the things that divide us and addressing those to try to reduce those. And I'm bought in on that. I think supporting that line of thought to, start fresh, bring a process to the people in some way, shape, or form. I think it's the next administrator, my personal opinion would be the next administrator would lead us through a process by which these phrases like "in God we trust" could be considered, and that we could build consensus with all the people. So, but yeah, that's where I land. I want to see us come together. To Commissioner Miedema's point, we're making progress, and I do want to see that happen. But unfortunately, some people feel that where we belong is weaponized in one way, or where freedom rings is weaponized in another way. And I think that's really unfortunate because they're both great statements. They really are. So I've heard people say, well, why not, where we belong and where freedom rings, together. But I think we need to just start fresh.
So first of all, there's a motion on the table to adopt the motto, "In God We Trust." Jacob is suggesting that we bring it into the strategic planning process, which is going to happen this fall. Any other comments?
I have one, but I'll wait.
I appreciate the thought of moving forward, Joe. Thank you. I agree, however, with Jacob as far as the timing goes, that I'd like to keep a blank slate at this time. And then perhaps strategic planning would be a great opportunity for that, or when we've got the new administrator in the process too. So, but I really thank you for the willingness to move forward.
So you want to finish?
No, if Commissioner Miedema wants to. That's fine.
I hope this comes out the right way. It's not supposed, I guess I wish that we had done this, like as part of a strategic plan. I've heard a couple of you mention that we're looking forward to moving forward. And I think that this evening was, from my perspective, an unnecessary timing of riling up a community. We haven't had this many people here in a while, and it's largely due to the county motto from what was made during public comment. And I do appreciate hearing everyone's comments. I just think that it could have been better timing as we worked through a plan. And so since we're mentioning that that's what we want to do with the next motto, that's just, I guess, I wish we had done that.
So my comment was similar. If we're not ready to make a change and we need to wait till strategic planning, should we just wait, just table this item and wait until strategic planning? Would that be easier? Would that be a better outcome? It's going to take a process. I mean, I would make the motion to table it and bring it back later, but I'm looking for any head nods or yes or no.
I'm not sure what you're actually talking about. Tabling.
It was mentioned by Commissioners Bonema and Bruger that the change needs to happen in strategic planning. So why don't we just table this item until strategic planning?
Tabling your amendment, or are you talking about tabling the original motion?
D, county motto, the motion to eliminate the motto and wait until strategic planning and do the
Appreciate the
process.
clarification. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in tabling it. Or nor your vote either, or your motion. I think we should vote them both.
So first of all, we got.
I didn't make the motion to table though. I mean, I'm just looking for feedback.
Yeah. So we first have Joe's motion to adopt the motto, "In God We Trust." That's the motion. We need to vote on that motion,
Well,
or
is-
whether we adopt it, bring it back up into.
Excuse me, is that a motion to, we had a motion on the floor already.
The motion,
So is this a motion to amend?
There's a motion to amend, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
To eliminate the county motto and change it to "In God We Trust."
That's his motion to amend.
But didn't you add a motion to table it all?
No, if I don't see any visual support for tabling it, no.
Yeah. I like the idea of discussing the models, if we're going to have a model, and I'm not sure we particularly need one. But if we do, I would support certainly the discussion and strategic planning. I think that would be good for all of us. healthy for the community. Oh, I'm sorry. I absolutely support, if we ever have a county motto, I would support, we discussed that during strategic planning. It's healthy for the community. It's healthy for us as a board to have those full discussions. I would absolutely support that. Don't think tonight's the night to be discussing the county motto, a replacement for the county motto. So I would vote against your motion at this point. Anybody else? On Joe's motion to amend the motion. All right.
I have one more.
Yeah.
I have So we're still on the motion to approve the elimination and to change it to In God We Trust. Is that correct?
That's the amended motion, correct?
I would just say that from my perspective, I think we have heard a lot from the community in many ways. And I do think if it's going to be eliminated, I do think that there is value in listening to our community weigh in. And so I'm just letting you know, I'm not going to be supporting and changing it this evening. So I am in favor of, I will be turning down approving the elimination of the current one. I don't want to change it to a brand new one tonight.
Okay. All right. We better probably take a roll call vote on Joe's motion to amend the county motto to In God We Trust, right? Right? That's the motion. Let's take a vote on that.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bonema,
No.
Mr. Georgezma,
No.
Mr. Bruger,
No.
Mrs. Miedema,
No.
Mrs. Wenzel,
No.
Mr. Barry,
No.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
No.
Mr. Kyers,
No.
and Mr. Cheaples.
No.
And the motion
Okay.
fails.
So we're back to the original motion to eliminate the existing motto. Anyone else got comments? I've got a couple, so that's where we're at. We should be particularly bothered to be categorized by implication or otherwise as being against freedom. I spent my entire legal career defending the rights of people, and to suggest otherwise is a blatant disregard for the truth. My vote today is not against personal liberties or freedom. None of us who votes to get rid of this county motto is against those fundamental human and American rights. So, as has been happening too often these days in our social and political landscapes, I would ask such misinformed persons to listen and try to understand. My vote against this motto is to be against what the motto has come to stand for by many people, rightly or wrongly, fairly or unfairly, including that of exclusion, intolerance, and mistreatment of people. In short, this motto is divisive, regardless of the truth and support of the principles of personal freedom. For far too many people in Ottawa County and elsewhere, this motto has come to symbolize disunity and rejection, not genuine personal freedom, regardless of what its authors may have intended. Commissioner Moss, you recently told me that you agreed with the objective to end divisive means and practices in our county government. Here's another chance to do that. From the beginning of my leadership of this board, every action, every decision I've made has been to rid the county of governmental structures and/or practices that are divisive, including changing politically aligned county attorneys and the realignment of committee membership assignments based on qualifications and equity, so the county can function more objectively, earnestly, and without political or social bias and influence. As elected officials representing diverse constituents, our decisions and administration should not be premised on what the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, for instance, thinks. Our county decisions, rather, should be based on what supports our citizens, regardless of affiliations, with fiscal prudence and foresight, and mindfulness that individual freedom also comes with social responsibilities, to respect and recognize the personal freedoms of our neighbors, regardless of personal disagreements. For these same reasons associated with divisiveness, we are not voting to replace the county motto here tonight. As much as I personally favor the former motto, where you belong, for many residents, it also conjures up sentiments of division, exclusion, and disunity. Surely, if we ever have a motto again, it can be based on what unites us, such as our beautiful parks and beaches. I have been waiting for this vote for 7 months and can't wait to cast my vote against the existing motto for the reasons stated. Anyone else? Okay, Kendra?
I just want to say, this is just me personally. I didn't plan on speaking tonight. I did not plan on speaking tonight about this. My husband and I raised our kids, facts, not feelings. That's all based on feelings. Freedom is never a bad thing. If we operate continually on our feelings, we're not going to get anywhere. It's not concrete. Feelings change all of the time. And when you continually operate on feelings, you get nowhere. There is no structure. There's no solid base. And what you're suggesting is feelings. It's not factual. That's really all I wanted to say.
Okay, Justin, can you take the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Mr. Moss.
No.
Mrs. Miedema.
No.
Mrs. Wenzel.
No.
Mr. Berry.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Bruger.
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey.
Absolutely no.
Mr. Georgezma.
Yes.
And Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda are committee reports. Do we have committee reports? Nope. Looks like we don't. This is the second period for public comments. Anyone like to address the board? Yes, here we go. Please say your name again, ma'am, please.
Jerry McCaleb, West Olive, and I want to congratulate the six for sticking together tighter than a drum. Y'all are very predictable. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dave Barnowski. I vote in Port Sheldon Township. Congratulations. But I wanted to talk to the people who didn't understand what that motto, where you belong, was meant to do. It was a motto not aimed at the people of Ottawa County. It was a selling point to the people that were trying to recruit to bring businesses to Ottawa County, to bring people to Ottawa County who we were trying to convince that we were not small-minded, bigoted people in Ottawa County that would bring other people in here of other nationalities. That's what that was about.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just anybody online? Yeah, there's a couple more people here, so excuse me.
Harvey Nickel from Jennison. After listening tonight, I want to read a quote from Frederick Douglass. He is from a Mission of War speech, August 1857. The life of a nation is secure only while the nation is honest, truthful, and virtuous. For these are the qualities which give it strength and permanence. And you can also add the county to that. I don't think all the motives have been honest as an observer and audience, but if we move forward, I hope that that changes.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Klonyans. I vote in Holland Charter Township. Many years ago, I had the great honor of being the education curator for the Holland Historical Trust. I spent a year researching an exhibit on the First World War and its impact on West Michigan and the Holland area. And in 1917, after 3 years of watching Europe burn, the United States entered into conflict, which would be called the First World War. And as war fever swept the nation, some in power ginned up to a white-hot hatred of Germany and her allies. This was stoked to such a pitch that neighbors looked at neighbor, looking past whether they were citizen, and looked instead to their countries of origin. Where did they come from? Now, that shouldn't mean much unless your country of origin had a leader who was a cousin of the Kaiser, shared a common culture, and spoke from their pulpits every Sunday in a language that sounded a whole lot like German. The fact that these people, my people, had left their country almost 60 years earlier looking for freedom, had fought in its wars, failed to move the bar. They looked different and they talked different. And as this fever grew, the Americans in the other parts of West Michigan, in Grand Haven, Coopersville, and Grand Rapids, came to the defense of my family, stating, as the mayor of Grand Haven put in a letter to the Grand Haven Trib, that there were no better citizens or people than their neighbors to the south. Freedom did not win the day in this particular discussion. Belonging did. And while I'd like to say that that was an anomaly from a very dangerous and dark time, my work with the museum has led me to realize that this was not a singular incident, but was experienced by every community that comes here. I've heard it from the families of the Japanese who came here to help build our poultry industry, from the Latin Americans who came to help grow our area, from the Laotians who fled their country and came here under the auspices of the CRC and the RCA. Heck, I even heard this from the post-war Dutch who came here to settle among their people. Freedom means nothing if you don't belong. And if you don't belong, freedom is essentially meaningless. Now, I have my preferences for what motto I prefer, but that's neither here nor there today. I'm grateful for the opportunity that you've given the citizens of this county tonight so that all of her constituents who all belong here will have the opportunity to participate in a process that creates a motto that is not just beneficial and reflective of who we are now, but who we choose to become as a county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clenchens. I don't see anyone else. Oh. Yep.
Christy Mapplink from Zealand Township. I'd just like to say 7 months. You waited 7 months. We knew it was coming. We still had to come here and speak up for the freedom. We appreciate those that instituted it. We thank you for the idea of doing In God We Trust, because that's where ultimate freedom comes from. A lot of you really did a lot to expose yourself today for the Democrats that we know that you are, or the less than true Republicans. And so I hope people are paying attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kim Nagy, Georgetown Township. Thank you, board, for agreeing to a process. And I do hope that you have public input into whether or not we should have a motto. Interesting that Mr. Berry indicated that only half the counties in the state have a motto. I didn't know that. And I really appreciate that fact. I think my issue with the change of the motto when the impact board changed it was that I wasn't aware of any public discussion or, any opportunity for people to raise their voices in terms of if they wanted a motto change. So I think it is great that as you incorporate this into a strategic plan. I am very amused by the number of people who are discussing freedom for all and yet take every opportunity to denigrate the Democrats that live, work, pay taxes, and vote in this county. We are part of the county. It is not a monolith. And to talk about everyone's freedom and then make comments that you make about Democrats on this board is really so disingenuous. It just shows the perspective, which isn't about freedom, it's about control.
Thank you.
Hello, Donovan Gomez, Saginaw County, Bridgeport Township. Wait a second, you guys have 2 comment periods over here? Okay, because like if that ain't freedom, I don't know what is.
It's freedom, baby.
That's it.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else here. Justin, is there anyone online?
No, sir.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda are discussions. I don't know what discussions we're even anticipating here. Okay, so it goes to the administrator update. Gary, you want to tell us what's happening?
Very quickly, it's been an extremely busy month, and once again, services relative to our 13 facilities across the county have continued to be active. Not only do people work out of those county facilities, sheriff patrols are working out of community facilities, again, all over the county. So again, a lot of activity. This month, we hosted the largest Art Trust reception and awards. Staff was extremely pleased the fact that as many people showed up here throughout the course of those couple of weeks, looking at the art in the hallways. So again, everybody was very pleased. We also, through the cooperation of Bob DeVries, hosted a meeting with our area legislators. They come in quarterly to sit down and talk with us and discuss various items that are going on in Lansing. And again, they all assured us that they have our best interest in mind, even though they kind of walk the jungle in Lansing. We had groundbreaking for the VA next door here. It was very well attended. And again, you know, as that project moves forward, we'll have another kind of ribbon cutting once they get situated in there. We had multiple meetings on policies and contract workflow. Some of the things that the board has talked about to try to make easier and more accessible, so all commissioners can get that information on a regular basis. We had a meeting with MSU Extension. In fact, today we sat down and chatted with the new director, and again, she's very happy to be here. She's a resident of Zeeland, so she's currently working at, she's got 4 counties assigned to her, but she's actually got 7 counties that she's working. So we appreciated that she could take some time out and work with us. I did have some conversation with Commissioner Wenzel at our last meeting, and she was inquiring about some online training. In fact, that MSU Extension has available for commissioners. They recommend that even though you've been through that training, if it's something that you want to go through again, that it's available online, and we can set it up through our office. Also, I had some conversation again after the last meeting with Commissioner Miedema and Rhoda, and we talked about, they were inquiring about Lou Hunt and emergency management. We talked about the fact that that is one of the divisions within the Sheriff's Department. They were interested to know a little bit more about emergency management. And so I got a meeting tomorrow with Lou, and we're going to try to set up a work session where we take the board down into the ELC and kind of go through the steps, what happens in a storm event or a major event in Ottawa County, and what actually transpires. Because even when we had the Park Township windstorm that went through, Lou and a lot of other various people were well connected throughout that event, and there's always a concern. Do they know what's going on? Yeah, they know what's going on well in advance of what happens. So again, we'll take you through some exercises down there, and I think you'll find that it's a pretty unique shop downstairs. We had a meeting this past week with department heads and elected officials. We talked about things like budgets and the wage study, and keep the department heads updated as that's all moving forward. One of the other things that we talked about was the fact that we're very pleased to announce that, and Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've basically kind of gotten to the last step in the budget process after about 2 solid months of meeting with department heads and Karen's staff. And again, it was I think, a very healthy process as it relates to figuring out the priorities as far as funding, the operations. Then once Karen and her staff get that operations piece all figured out, then we start talking about department heads as it relates to the new employee requests that they have for fiscal 26. So right now, Karen and staff are working on putting together the presentation for the board on August 5th. So if you want to mark your calendars for 9 a.m., you should be here, and you'll have your first go around with the budget, and hopefully you'll be extremely observant, and we can get this thing completed and move it on for approval. The other thing is, I mentioned at our last board meeting that we've had some discussion with the city of Grand Haven. We had a meeting with the city manager, and they have a real valid concern as it relates to parking needs in the city of Grand Haven. As you all are aware of, they're going to build a Marriott hotel downtown. It just so happens that they're a little bit short on parking spaces. So they came to the county and wondered if we'd have an interest in doing something with the city and to be able to accommodate some extra parking spots that the Marriott may need, and for people that live downtown for overnight parking. Our parking lot in Grand Haven, way to the western side, has a smaller section of kind of isolated parking on the far west end, and that has 69 spaces. The city manager has that. She's going to be talking to some of her people on their planning commission to see if we can help out with that process so they can move forward in the whole idea of putting that facility downtown Grand Haven. We also had discussions with her. She talked about some of the long-range planning for the city, and again, asked us if we'd continue to be involved with some discussions into the future. I assured her that we would, and so we'll continue to bring that information forward as it progresses. August 28th, if you want to mark your calendar, it's quite a significant event out here at the Fillmore Complex. You can come out here for lunch, and Ron France can grill you one of his famous burgers on the grill. Ron and I have been commissioned to be the grillers that day, so please come out. We'll be more than happy to take your donations, and I would assume somebody from our office will be contacting you for that part too. And the only other thing I had a new granddaughter born this month. So
Congratulations.
So the whole month ended up being pretty
That's the best.
So that's it.
Gary, where do you stand on the administrative search, on the dates, and just to touch base on that a little?
I'll ask the chair of that process.
And maybe how many candidates we're looking at, if that's possible.
Well, you all know very well that in mid-June, we did not select an administrator, and the chair ordered a pause. The pause lasted until July 1st. On July 1st, I contacted all of the remaining double hall candidates to gauge whether or not they were interested in being considered. 22 said yes, 2 said no. And then on July 15th, our HR department posted a listing for the position of county administrator. And so far, we've had 4 applicants apply. That posting will remain open until August 11th. And then on August 19th, we intend to pull together packets of all the candidates for every board member. That gets us to September. September is going to be a busy month for the board. We expect citizen work group interviews, an open house, board of commissioner interviews, and hopefully, and I'm confident this will happen, we're going to select the next county administrator.
Good. I think the plan would be that at our board meeting in August, we will, because that'll give us about a week to look at all the applications. So that in the meeting in August, we would include a motion to go into closed session again and review the candidates for consideration for interviews. So that will be on the agenda. So we'll keep that moving so that we can get to the September timeframe and have the citizen committee meet, and then we'll interview and those kind of things on that schedule. So, Allison.
Couple comments and questions, might be the same one as you. First one, I don't think this body has had a discussion as a whole about the citizen work group continuing that part of the process. For my perspective, I don't think it's a necessary aspect of the interview search. We didn't use it for the one gentleman that we did interview, and that would be my suggestion, is that we eliminate that part of what's currently stated by Ron.
I would agree with Commissioner Miedema. I mean, and not only is it not necessary, I really don't see the point of it because there's nothing that's going to come out of that work group. For me, it's just kind of a confusing thing. And maybe if you can explain farther why we need it, because like Commissioner Miedema, I really don't see the need for it. And in fact, it just kind of causes more confusion. I think in the public, when they see a citizen work group, they're expecting a work product. But what you've told us is that there is not going to be a work product per se, right? So that is confusing to me. I don't really see the need for it. And maybe you can explain why you think we need it.
Well, again, you may recall the genesis of this, and that is that we would like to have community involvement in this very important process of some kind. What we proposed doing the last go around was have this committee do interviews and evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of each candidate. This would probably take place the day before the Board of Commissioners conducts open interviews. And this information would be packaged and passed on to the board for their benefit.
Right. So, but married to the idea of the citizen work group was the public open house. And I think, you know, if we're going to, and it seems like we're not doing that.
We are doing that.
We are doing that.
Yes, I mentioned that a moment ago.
Okay. I guess that's fair enough that we have that part, because we didn't have that part for a previous gentleman who interviewed with us, nor did we have the work.
Well, it was planned, but
Right.
the events that took place kind of made it, unrealistic to do it.
I think
So it was
the
canceled.
open house would also give the purpose of those who would maybe be meeting the individual at the citizen work group could be done at the open house. And we could be getting feedback in that manner instead of doubling that up.
There are legalities surrounding using a citizens work group too, you know, based on those recent Supreme Court rulings and the appeals court ruling. So if that happens, it would have to comply with the Open Meetings Act, and those things, they would have to be noticed. The public would have to be welcome. You know, they would need to be open meetings, because if they're coming back with recommendations to us, that all has to happen open and transparent.
It's my understanding that this committee will not be making any recommendations.
Then why are we having?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Rhodey. It just seems confusing as to what the point of this.
Okay.
Yeah, it just.
I'll tell you from my perspective what the purpose is. It's similar to what Ryan just mentioned. It's a way to get the community from all segments of the county involved. And it's also getting people that essentially have more knowledge about county government than maybe any of us as lay people might know. So you've got township supervisors, city managers, wherever you are, but they're people that understand the nuances of administration, municipal administration. And so they can give us more information than we currently know ourselves, just based on our occupations and experiences of life. And so for me, the citizen work group is a way to bring the community directly involved in the process, bring people involved that clearly would know more than, say, us, any one of us, on the nuances of the job, that could give us further input. That's different than the open house, because the open house is all for all of us to see that person in a social setting, so to speak, so that even gives us further information about the candidates before we sit down and actually then interview ourselves. So it's a process in my mind that incorporates everyone as much as possible into a process that that gives us more information. And I agree with you, Sylvia. They're not going to give recommendations. Ron wrote a letter to every one of them. They signed. I think they signed it. I don't know, but it's very clear what their duties are. Their duties are to tell us what they think the strengths are, but not to rank, not to prioritize, not to give recommendations. It's just to give us information from their perspective.
That is really shaky ground. That is really shaky legal ground.
Well,
because they're giving us feedback, which will impact decisions.
So
That is very shaky. Further, I think that when you insinuate that people who work in the townships, I'm not discrediting the fact that they have experience and expertise, but township government and municipalities is very different than the county. So I think when you're delegating our authority away to township and municipality, people saying they know more than county commissioners about what goes on in the county, that's not true. I mean, their input is valid, their input can be helpful, but it needs to be done in a legal way. And I just think that's a faulty assumption right from the start.
So I think that you're right in saying if they can provide helpful information to us, that's true. But there's no delegation of responsibility here. That is not what their job is. Their job, as I would see it, is to simply help us do our jobs. It's another piece of the puzzle that can fill in our gaps.
Then it has to be done in an open, transparent, and legal manner.
We clearly understand the legal requirements. Obviously, we've got two attorneys in this room that have been looking at this issue. So I appreciate you think the understanding of the law is, but I also understand that we're taking direction from our legal counsel.
Okay, well, please read the Supreme Court ruling.
Believe me, we have read the law.
I guess I'm agreeing with Commissioner Rhodey on this because the evolution of OMA is an evolution of OMA. And that was a December of 2024 ruling that, was an evolution of how we see it. And what we thought about OMA in 2022 or 2020 or whenever is different, right? So I think we need to be sensitive to, what Commissioner Rhodey is saying about this, and at the same time weighing that versus the possible benefits, which I just don't see the possible benefits versus,
And if we're going to do it,
confusion.
we have to do it legally. We just do.
Would either of you guys be interested in making a motion to cancel the Citizens Work Group?
I would like
We
to
can
make a
vote on?
motion to cancel the Citizens Work.
I support that.
Discussion?
Justin.
Yeah, I'm not going to vote to cancel the Citizens Work Group. I trust our legal advice that we've received from council. I value the input of the professionals in our community to give us some feedback on the candidates, and I really look forward to reading it. These are trusted individuals within our community who have decades of experience in the community in a professional capacity, in a municipality capacity, and a state level capacity, and a county level capacity. So I see a lot of value in that process. So I'll be voting against the motion and in support of hearing from these individuals.
And I think the fact that it would be valuable and it would provide so much information and be helpful makes the point that it's going to be used to weigh into our decision-making. Therefore, it must follow the Open Meetings Act.
I don't disagree that it has to follow the OMA.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
I think we all have that objective and understanding. Kendra?
So just to clarify, Josh, you'll be listening to these citizens and making decisions off their recommendations because it's information they are giving you. So you are taking that internally and going to make decisions from that.
I'm not sure if I exactly agree with that, but I will absolutely be valuing the input from a citizens group.
Correct. It will help make a decision.
Could we simplify this whole situation and just change the motion to vote to do these in open meeting? And then retain the benefit of the citizen work group, but do it in an open meeting?
Well, that's already happening.
No, I've not heard any discussion that the citizen work group will be in an open meeting at all. No, it's, my understanding is the plan is the citizen work group will not be in an open meeting.
What's the, Ron, maybe Ron and Gary, Ron, help us out. What, Ron and Ron, help us out on what the requirements of the Open Meeting Act would be associated with this committee.
Well, generally, if you're going to deliberate on behalf of the board, then it has to be done in an open meeting. My understanding is that we are looking at an open meeting concept for the citizen work group. They're going to be meeting the day before the open meeting interviews of all the candidates. At that point, confidentiality should not be an issue. And that's my understanding. So I don't think we have the problem that you're talking about.
So we're good then.
Just to clarify, the members of the work group will be interviewing the same people that we'll be interviewing next day.
Correct.
Okay.
Going to reduce the group to finalists. They will be interviewing
They will
the
interview those
finalists.
folks and we'll interview
From their
the same folks the
perspective.
next day.
Correct.
Right.
I guess I just don't see the point of it and there's legal issues, so I'll be voting for my own motion, I guess.
It's not uncommon during interviews to have people talk to different people within an organization. And in this case, our candidates are going to be working extensively with township managers and city managers. And yeah, so I think it just makes sense.
So just could I clarify? So those oh, sorry, there you were. Those interviews by those citizen people will be the day before, but will not be an open session. They will be.
Will be an open.
So what is the committee doing that's not in an open session?
They're not. So, yeah, Ron, make sure we're all on the same understanding here. So this committee, will that committee be meeting similar to this meeting? Which was a formal public meeting, or was it the intent that that committee would be interviewed, it would be meeting, it'd be filmed and shown, but what is the process there, Ron?
There was an evolution in the process. At one time, we talked about the citizen work group meeting maybe a week or so before and doing it in private, and then reporting out the information by document to the Board of Commissioners. That changed. You may recall when we were ready to do that in June, that changed to the day before. And we had actually invited, I believe, the commissioners to sit in the audience if they like. It was going to be open to the public. And then, of course, it was canceled the night before.
Okay.
So I'm sticking with that unless the
Yeah,
board
no,
wants to go a different direction.
I think it sounds just great. So we shouldn't have any issues here with that. As long as that committee is not going to be recommending, or that statement that they've signed lays out our expectation of them. So we should be good. Allison?
I would personally like to see you invite the people that are currently been asked to serve on the citizen work group and invite them to join the constituents here in the interviews that we have. And my guess is we probably won't have a decision made that day. And just like any constituent can weigh in, at that point, they could give you their thoughts, just like anybody else. That would be my personal recommendation. And that way you're getting, in my opinion, you'd get what you're hoping to get. And I think some of us who don't see the value in it of having their own separate group, we would also be having those needs met.
Kind of makes sense to me.
I'm of the, I mean, obviously, I support this citizen group for the reasons I said, right? I want them to give me information and tell me what I don't know. I want them to tell me what I don't know. On the other hand, the citizens, the general citizens, the people at large will have, when we interview, it's clearly going to be another public meeting. It'll be just like this. There'll be public comments, the whole bit. People by that time will have had the opportunity to engage in the citizen group public meeting as well. So they will see that process. And so when they come to our board, when the citizens come to our board, they will be able to express whatever view they want to express to us before we start our own interview process. So the public at large will be fully involved in that process as well. They will be engaged. And
That is a really good point, that it actually, it is more work. Doug, I actually agree in general with your motion. It does seem a little duplicative, but the point stands as well that it actually brings more involvement.
It should more transparency.
Mhm.
I do though think it has to be done technically as an open meeting following the act by law. And honestly, if we're bringing in township and municipality people, they should understand the Open Meetings Act, and I don't see what the issue is.
I think I was wrong, yeah. I had the understanding from before when we were going to do it a week earlier. So
But,
I'm understanding what Ron
but.
is saying, where it's going to
There's
be
a-
open.
I think there's a difference though, because you can say, okay, we're having an open meeting and the public can come, but you're not doing a legal notice. You're not.
why
allowing the
wouldn't
public
we?
com-
Sylvia, you believe me,
Then there's no issue.
there shouldn't be. That's the point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's no issue.
There is no issue.
There's no issue if you're legally following all the steps.
Right. And we're going to trust our council to make sure there's no issue. Yes.
Sounds like we could potentially withdraw the motion.
Well, just to clarify, I don't have a problem withdrawing the motion if I can, if I'm able to, but at the same time, if we're going to have this, again, I still think that, it's balance between, the information we receive and the confusion it causes, whatever, but have it noticed, have it videoed, and we can watch. We don't need a report from these folks. And they can ask those questions. And I get what Jordan's saying, is like, more questions are better. So they're going to ask certain questions, we'll ask certain questions, but we can watch the video. Everybody can watch the video. There's no report, right? It's legally noticed. There's no concerns about OMA because we have the video and everybody can watch it at home, watch that night while you're doing the dishes, whenever, and get more feedback. And that's what, Commissioner George was saying, and I get that, but that seems cleaner.
Why
Okay.
would you have a problem? I mean,
And I withdraw the motion if that's the setup, but that was not my idea of the setup. My idea of the setup is that you had 8 folks in a room with just those 8 folks in it, which was very confusing to me, and it seemed like it didn't really generate anything worthwhile versus the confusion that it may cause, right?
do you understand now how it's going to go?
I'm hoping it goes the way I just said, if that's the way it is. And I withdraw my motion if Ron is saying, look, we'll have an open meeting, it will be videoed, everybody can watch it at home, right? You don't have to come here to watch it. It is noticed.
And it's the day before.
And it's the day before. And then we come in the next day, having seen that video, having seen some responses, and have different questions, and we get different feedback. And that's what, Commissioner George was saying, and I get that part. But having 8 people in the room privately, I didn't see. So I'll withdraw the motion if that's what we're going to do.
Well, again, keep in mind, we're trying to serve the direction of the board. There are 2 ways you can go. One way is a closed meeting with no deliberation and maybe a week in between to get the information to the Board of Commissioners. But as this thing evolved, we ended up with back-to-back meetings and both being open.
Okay.
And
By
again,
open, do you mean it's going to be videos so we can watch?
I don't know about the video, but it would be.
Because that to me is important, right? Because not only the notice is important, but the fact that there's a visual record, right?
Right. I mean, we'll have to talk to Those that set up the room and so on, it might be in this room. I don't
Okay.
know. I mean,
I
that's
don't
one
see why that would be
possibility.
a problem, because I think that's what we all want. We all want to see what the candidates say. We don't want to have a report from, written up. Like, we can
Right.
literally watch it while I'm doing the dishes, right? Or,
I didn't know
taking a
you
walk
did
around the
that.
neighborhood.
I didn't know you did the
You know,
dishes.
I tend to watch a lot of the YouTubes while I'm washing the dishes, so.
Again, keep in mind, we're trying to serve the direction you want us to
Yeah,
go. And this is the
think we're good.
direction we were
We'll
going
withdraw
in
the
June.
motion if you can promise us that we'll have video of that meeting.
I can't promise.
Like clear.
Do it.
I withdraw the motion. Thank you, Scott. for
Let me clarify this. Clearly, Ron has said we're going to have this in an open meeting. We'll videotape it, all those kind of things, all right? But this committee will be asked to give us a product. And that product will be their evaluations on strengths. So that there will be something that comes out of this. Otherwise, they're just secretaries that can ask questions. And that's not helpful. We need to know what they think. And without any commentary, just tell us what you think. And then we will take that into our considerations in the big pool of analysis. Ken?
What specific individuals chose the citizens work group individuals?
I don't know that. You know that, Ron, how these people got picked?
Well, I recall when I was asked that question back in, when was it, in February or something, we did know that a number of commissioners had recommended people. I think Gary recommended someone. I may have recommended someone as well. And we did have a list. We have the same people. It's actually 7 people. I've contacted all of them. They all are very anxious to assist. They see, they believe they can add something substantive to this process. I can't tell you from memory exactly who nominated who, but it's the same group that we
I
had
know,
before.
I recommended that they get the supervisor from Georgetown involved. He since resigned, and so they picked John Schwam, I think, to come. Because I wanted to make sure there was someone from Georgetown in this equation too, as I looked at the other people, because I don't know who I don't know. But anyway, that one was,
Just out of curiosity, what commissioners weren't involved in that?
Were?
Weren't
Weren't.
or weren't?
Were not involved in choosing someone for that committee?
I wasn't involved.
So hang on, 2 people were? Only 2 commissioners were?
I don't remember specifically recommending anyone. That was months ago. I honestly don't remember.
You don't remember recommending anyone?
I remember hearing who some of the individuals were that were being discussed and thinking, oh, Amanda Price, former state rep, she's good.
To know what commissioners were a part of that, that recommended.
If this is, even if this were a formal ad hoc board, the decision is John's because he's the chair.
Right, I
Board
still
what?
would like to know who
I'm
was
not-
involved in that.
I was.
And I don't know why people don't want to say who was involved in that.
Think
Transparency.
People just raised their hands.
We all just did. I actually don't, the line of question doesn't get us
Right,
anywhere,
that's
Kendra, so I'm not going to.
It's a question I have. So I still don't know who was involved in it.
First time I heard the names, most of them I didn't recognize, but the 2 I did recognize were Amanda Price and Sally Gruppen, and oh, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm assuming that they're people in that work group are of similar caliber. So however it happened, those would be 2 people I would have picked from Southwest
I
corner.
guess I just don't understand why nobody wants to say who did it.
I don't know.
There was a number of people. I don't.
Is there a motion to vote on, or did you withdraw it?
You withdrew.
You did.
I withdrew. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I realize that it's 9:20, so if we have another opportunity to talk about the process, I'm happy to wait for my other one. But you mentioned going into closed session again, and I think that is something that we should be talking about now versus waiting until we get to that day.
Mhm.
And so is that something that we could have a discussion about now, or would you like to delay that conversation?
happy to do it now. It's going to be on the agenda.
Okay.
These people have asked for confidentiality, and they have a right to it. And we're going to be voting on whether to give it to them. It'll be on the agenda.
So, John, could you explain the closed session? Because if it's gonna be like last time, I can't see how we get any different outcome.
Accurate.
Because what Commissioner Brody has talked about is just picking your candidates by number, and then we bring them in. I think that's a smart idea.
The
I don't see
public
the
is-
value in closed session at this point, but maybe you can explain the value in closed session, because I don't think we're gonna get a different result. In fact, I think I may be voting with, the minority in that case.
So from my perspective, the recommendation of Sylvia and Joe to incognito identify these folks and come in and identify certain people does not protect them, does not adequately protect their rights to confidentiality. What we heard in our last board meeting, just simple statements made during the public session, had the potential of disclosing confidential information that scared off some candidates. These people have a right under the law to a closed door meeting, and we will implement that process again and have those discussions.
Mr. Chair.
Mhm.
So first of all, the law does not prohibit us from not going into closed session. So we actually have more the rights, more the protecting the freedoms for the individuals here to come and listen to us weigh in versus the protections of the individuals that are applying. So the law is very clear on that it is not an absolute that it is handled in a closed session to talk about applications. Second, we didn't put any guidelines on this board for some things that we could agree on of how we would discuss candidates. So going forward, if we were to put some guidelines and we were to discuss them by number, we could have some things that we would not be mentioning. We wouldn't be mentioning, for example, I could just think of some things right off the bat, where they live. Okay, so that it's not drawing attention to even if they're interstate. Anyway, I think it would be very easy to put up some parameters to discuss them, and I could say, for example, I like this number because this person exuded the following characteristics that I'm looking for in a leader of helping to lead our county. So that's what I'd be looking for is, here are some of the things that I've noticed about this individual. I want the people to hear what I'm looking at when I'm going to be making my vote.
But what if I asked you, what makes you think that they exude those leadership characteristics? You couldn't point to any specifics because you'd be prohibited from doing that.
No, I certainly could share that information.
Not if it
Without-
has relevant information on their resume. If it's
How are you
if
going to
it's an
put
identifying
somebody,
characteristic.
that's why I'm saying like there needs to be a couple parameters so it doesn't, this nation is huge with people. So if you have certain parameters that you're like, there's no way someone would ever know that person, who that person is.
Could we just highlight that it's not abnormal? It's pretty common for confidential searches to result in people by board members speaking by number, right? I like number 4, and here's why. I like number 7, and here's why. That's a normal process. It's done in Ottawa County, it's done in Michigan, it's done across the US.
I don't know if I can agree with that.
Well, but it's true.
I mean, it might be a method.
Right,
but-
it's a method, yeah.
But my concern is that something will be disclosed, or we are going to lose candidates because they're afraid to step forward because we won't go into closed session. And they don't want to risk being publicly exposed during a meeting. And this board has already shown that there's a concern there. So that's why they want to go into closed session to discuss this. They have jobs, and we can't put them at risk. We need to understand that. There's no reason that we can't do this in closed session, especially because they've asked.
Well, there are reasons. So take, for instance, Saline. They used double hall as well. They went into closed session and they ended up with a fractured process I don't know where they stand now, but they completely stalled because whatever happened in closed session, the public wasn't privy to. And the public was very upset with the end result because they loved one particular person who was from their community, and that person didn't make the final cut. So then they have public outcry, public outrage, because they have an amazing person that they wanted. They have no idea what was said in closed session because it was not transparent. And so it broke down.
point of the closed session was simply to identify the candidates for interview.
That's what happened.
That's all we're doing.
That's what
And so
happened.
we
at
have to
CSU.
decide how many we want to interview. I mean, we haven't done that. But that's all we're doing, was picking the candidates to be interviewed. And so that these people will, there may be some more people that want to apply right now. But they may not want to get involved right now if they think they're confident, they're not going to be protected confidentially, that there could be a risk, and they don't want to do that. And we have a right, we have an obligation to those folks.
We don't. We
Well, you
don't.
say they don't. Yes, we do.
Do not.
We have an obligation to maintain some confidentiality. We don't have an obligation to go into closed session. There's no legal obligation to go into closed session. I think every board member here wants to maintain confidentiality of candidates. I am not aware of any candidates being unmasked or identified in this process this year. I have heard no information about that. If there is some, I'd love to hear it.
I'd rather not say because we'd be disclosing something that got disclosed elsewhere. I'm gonna, John, I really appreciate.
I'm not aware of anything.
I hear that. I really appreciate your interest involving the entire board in this process. The entire way from the beginning of the year. I can't thank you enough for trying to do that. I feel that with this issue going into closed session, if it's common to stay out, it's also common to go in to protect the identity of the individuals. And I'm very much in favor of doing that. If there are not enough numbers to vote to go into closed session to avoid the situation that we had last time, as much as I hate to do it, I just assume that 5 of us or 7 of us who are willing to go into closed session form a separate committee, John, or that you put together a separate committee as the chair with a recommendation to do that. And maybe we don't have to decide that tonight, but perhaps that's a thought to get us through. I mean, that's what.
Sounds like maybe 6, because I'm.
Maybe
sounding like-
6, yeah. Maybe it's 5. You know, the last time you guys went to select a commissioner, you had a committee of, I believe, 5.
Which everything was done in an open meeting.
And
Yes, correct.
I appreciate that, but you did have a committee of 5, and that's my point, Joe.
Yeah, well, your point
but
is that you would threaten to go into closed session with a smaller group because you don't have enough votes with the full board. So instead of working, it's a threat, is obvious. Well, fact, threat, yeah. It's,
Look at it as a threat or-
you will vote for closed session or else.
I guess the answer is,
Par for the
we
course.
want you to be involved. It'll be
Great.
up to you whether you are on this issue.
Again, a threat.
It's up to you. We're gonna open this up. We wanted you to participate, but we are not gonna block this process so we can get an administrator in here. And we want the applicants to feel safe to submit their applications. Right now, they're uncertain. And we're gonna make sure that they understand that their applications will be protected. You guys have to decide if you want to participate in that process.
There were 19 candidates willing to go through an open and transparent process until they got threatened, so it is possible for people to go through an open and transparent process. They did not back out because their names were known.
You're talking about 2024.
I am.
Well, and we're 2025, we can still have an open and transparent process and just keep confidentiality and allow the deliberation to be in public so that the people of Ottawa County can hear people's thoughts about, even if they're somewhat limited, about who commissioners support. I want my constituents to have some understanding of why I'm picking certain people.
And in fact, I think we even will have to go back and look at the legality of having a subcommittee go into closed session and make a determination out of the public eye, because I think you go back to the same Supreme Court case problem where you are delegating authority to a subcommittee and then they go, hightail it into closed session and do it in private.
Ron.
So I think you're actually creating the same problem.
Ron, you got a comment?
Well, no, there is not a legal problem with that. The county board would appoint a committee and authorize that committee to select the people who would be interviewed. That committee would be a public body and would meet in open session. But that committee would have the authority to take the requests of the candidates and go into closed session with a 2/3 vote to consider those candidates in closed session, just like any other public body would have. And then they could report back to the full board.
I think that we've had, we know where this is.
So does that mean the full board wouldn't even know who the candidates were? Is that what I'm hearing? You wouldn't even share the list of candidates with with all the board members?
That's not a legal question, and that's not at all the result of what I'm saying.
Joe, I understand
I'm
what.
just asking because that's what it sounds like.
You're absolutely
Not
right.
what I said.
Okay.
If we can't get 8 votes to go into closed session, and it'll be up to the 4 of you to decide that, right? Then the other option that's been discussed here is to form this committee, which would be able to go in closed session to make that decision for us. That's not the preference. The preference is that we'd all participate, we'd all go into closed session, we would have a banter about the strengths and weaknesses of people. We'd come out and vote on who we think we want to move forward to interviews. That's not the desire to go through this subcommittee.
So
But
if we don't do what you want, you're going to make your own thing.
no, you are absolutely right, have the right to vote and go into closed session to protect the rights of these people. That's just up to you. I mean, that's just up to you.
Everybody wants to protect the rights and the privacy of the candidates. No one wants to share their names or information about them.
You just said that part of your goal with doing it in open session was signaling to your constituents who you support. But how do you do that if you can't even
Well,
say who it is?
like character qualities or characteristics
Where
or
character
things like
qualities have
that.
a number? Number 5 is
Yeah.
really,
Yes, that number.
Yeah.
but you wouldn't be able to release who that number is after it's over anyways.
It still constitutes an individual that we like and the reasons we like them.
Okay, again, but I'm saying.
It's similar to going into closed session, coming back and having the vote. You should still have deliberation and share information about who you're supporting.
So real quick,
Okay.
once we emerge out of closed session, there'll be some more deliberation in front of the public, correct?
Correct.
So there's still plenty of opportunity for each of us to express support for numbers once we emerge out of closed session.
That's when a call to question will happen.
Well, actually, no.
Right, which has been changed so that a smaller number can just shut down all debate.
Joe, you bring up an interesting point to me. You may, in this theoretical formula to select a commissioner, everybody's going to come with some numbers. Joe, I may have some specific questions about number 2 because I genuinely want to hear why you like number 2. And those questions may be something to do with what number 2 did in their city. And I can't ask you the specifics of that question to get your input. Openly, see, not a chance that anybody's going to not screw up on that one. And I value your input, Joe, and I want your input. And I would absolutely ask you for your input in a closed session.
That's kind of my point on this. I brought this up last time we went at this. I really think a frank discussion among all the board members in closed session to understand where everyone's coming from with their choices for these candidates that we want to present to the public as finalists, I think would be a great exercise for this board to go through. I think it would be an opportunity for growth and understanding. And because Josh was kind of getting at that, if someone had experience with some significant natural disaster of some sorts, what was his response to that was so great that you're going to start getting into details on things. I would think it might be helpful if someone had some kind of connection with West Michigan. So if it was a work experience in West Michigan, people can easily start figuring that out. I just think trying to do that with numbers, that would be a very difficult way to maintain confidentiality on that. But bigger issue is I think we're missing an opportunity to work together as a board. And I would hope we could have some growth experience out of that.
So we've got, thank you.
I would echo what Jim said. I mean, I'd like to work together as a board. The way I've seen things go so far this year, the 7 months of, changing Robert's rules and nuking the motto, I'm not
Well,
feeling real positive
I'm
about
really
it.
sorry you feel that way, Joe, because I've bent over backwards to make sure as best I can that you and everyone else on this board has free speech, freedom. I've done everything I can. In fact, I get criticized by being too nice. And I'm willing to take that because I'm trying to create a unity on this board. So I'm sorry you feel that way, but we're going to protect these people. We want the best candidate for Ottawa County, and we want people to be encouraged to come forward and not worry about whether their credentials are going to be inadvertently disclosed. So we've laid out two options. The goal is for all of us to go into closed session as a group. If not, the other option is to form the subcommittee, let them do it, and you have to decide if you want to participate in that process. But we're moving forward so we can have a decision by mid-September. I think that it's time to move on. Commissioner comments, Joe, go first. Try to limit it to 3 minutes.
I have one question for the administrator yet. Not about the administrator search, so don't worry, Gary. Following up on last month, the deputy HR and the facilities director, do you know what the status on those two are?
The deputy HR, they have hired an individual.
Okay.
Scott Hawk isn't here, so.
Okay.
You know, the other facilities director, we've just completed a total background search, and we'll be making a decision in the next day or two.
And so when will the deputy HR be announced in the next few days or so?
I suspect the HR director will do that soon.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, let's go to commissioner comments. Try to limit it to 3 minutes. Joe, you're first.
Try to be quick. One commenter mentioned that we had 2 public comment periods. I'm thankful that this board is prioritizing public comment. It's very important for the people to be able to come here and speak to us. I do remember when Ottawa County Board leadership limited people to 60 seconds. That was not as good. Again, so I'm very thankful that the board is prioritizing public comment. I think that's great. A couple other comments. The only people who I've heard complain about the former Ottawa County motto, "Where Freedom Rings," are card-carrying Democrats and the leaders of the Democrat Party who spoke tonight. I've not heard a single Republican, especially all the Republican delegates who spoke tonight, or the other elected officials I've talked to, none of them have complained about the motto. But a point I think that's important is that Democrat leader Kim Nagy said Republicans are denigrating Democrats, Democrat constituents. That is false. In government, we operate in public policy. It is the battleground of ideas. Some ideas are good, some ideas are bad. Advocating for good ideas and against bad ideas is in the best interest of Ottawa County and all our constituents. Along those lines, I've been waiting to share an update on MSU's DEI programs. As you know, public universities have been pushing these ideas of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And Republicans across America are working to abolish DEI in everywhere they can find, led by President Trump and other bold Republicans in the administration, all the way down from the federal, state, to local governments. University of Michigan announced that they were closing their DEI bureaucracy March 27 of this year, and I'm happy to report that MSU has eliminated DEI from both their 2030 strategic plan, which is great news, and announced that they would stop using DEI statements in their job postings, employee evaluations, promotions, and other hiring practices so that they will comply with the law. I don't have an update on Grand Valley yet, but I will keep you informed. That's all I have.
No, good.
I'm good.
Yeah, I want to end on a happy note too. It's been a long night. But when I chatted with some of our city council members in Zeeland and I said, what are your thoughts on not having a motto in the county? And they said, so it'd just be Ottawa County? I said, yeah, high five. We all live in Ottawa County. It's a great place to live. And they said, sounds great. So my community supported that, just having no motto. So I want to celebrate my community for a minute because Justin Roebuck knows because I see him down there with his little kids, but we have something called Zeal Mania. if you've not been and you have a young family, or if you're just a big kid at heart, it is a lot of fun. Last night, it's on Monday nights in downtown Zeeland, and we have a brand new downtown, heated sidewalks, all kinds of great, wonderful upgrades in the downtown, food. But we celebrated our first responders with Heroes Night. And I think it's great that we celebrate our first responders as our heroes. We have one more Zeal Mania left for the season, which is this coming Monday night, and it's Sports Mania. So if you're a sports fan, get out there, have some fun. But we need to continue to support families and the creation of families in our communities. And I think Zealand does a fantastic job. So I just want to do a hat tip to them. And finally, this is a celebration week for the Bonema family. We are having I have 5 children, and all 5 have decided to get married consecutive years. So this will be our 5th wedding in 5 years. So this Saturday, we will be celebrating love and marriage and all of that comes with that. So it's a lot of fun. And I get to pick up my first granddaughter. I've got 3 little grandsons, so yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Got the love and marriage song in my head. What TV show is that?
Yeah, we can skip that one.
Yeah, we'll skip that one, I think. I am going to follow Jacob's upbeat report and just share that upcoming in the city of Grand Haven, Coast Guard Festival. Grand Haven, I'm sure many of you know this, but if not, information for you. Grand Haven is actually the only there are multiple Coast Guard City USAs in the country. Grand Haven is the only Coast Guard City USA that is designated as such by an act of Congress. It is a really cool time for our city to come out and support the Coast Guard. The little tidbit, and I'm going to ruin it for the citizens of Grand Haven, so apologies. The 26th, the 26th, this Saturday, is the Kids Parade. And if you're looking for that old school, small town feel type parade, the Kids Parade is the one to come out for this Saturday. I believe it starts at 9 a.m. And it comes right down Washington Street, and it's a wonderful small town community feel to it. After that, if you like the big show, the Coast Guard Parade, the main event is going to be on Saturday the 2nd. The following Saturday, followed by the Coast Guard fireworks and the musical fountain. So come on down to Grand Haven. We invite you. We welcome you. It is a great, great time to be in West Michigan. Thanks.
Yeah, I was around Zealand last night, and kudos to Zealand. I walked through there. That's really awesome. I recommend anybody go out there and bring their kids or grandkids, and that's kind of what it's all about. And yeah, I was in Philadelphia last week with NACO, and it was kind of cool to see our own person from the state of Michigan be elected to second VP. So we'll have our president, Alicia Bell, as NACO in 2 years from now. So hopefully that can help us in Michigan get a little more response from NACO, and we got more of a voice there. So it was good. Something that kind of scared me a little bit that we might have to think down the road in 26 coming up is the elimination of SNAP. A lot of the budget coming there that some of our staffers and will have to think about. It's probably going to drop down in the counties, and there'll be a budget for us that we have to consider. So that was one of the big things. So thanks.
Doug?
Yeah, Jim and myself had the chance to go to the Holland Climate Lobby at Hope Church about a week ago. Talk about Campbell Plant, talk about reliable, affordable energy. I think it was a really good occasion. I think we had about 40 people there.
I got invited by a constituent. And
Yeah, I know.
interesting
We had half Holland residents and half Park Township residents, so it was a good chance for me to kind of talk to those folks with Jim, so.
Yeah. Jim? A week ago Saturday, I attended the Macatawa Water Festival at Collin Park. This is a celebration of the Macatawa watershed. Outdoor Discovery Center was probably the primary organizer on it. But I just wanted to say there was, they've got kayaks and boats right by the water at Collin Park, and they had a lot of fun stuff for kids to do. But there were booths, and the MSU Extension District 7 was in the house that day, and the Ottawa Conservation Project District was there. I don't see him now, but Water Resources Commissioner Joe Bush was there. So I think Ottawa County was well represented at the Macatawa Water Festival. Good time was had by all. Kendra?
I had the privilege of attending the Veterans Traveling Tribute Wall, and it was one of the most sobering things I think I've ever done, is to stand there and just look at the rows and rows and rows and rows of those that have died for our freedom. And I was a bit sad. It wasn't well attended at all, and I think we need to make that, advertise that more, should we ever get that opportunity again, because I think it was very moving and very important. And I think that it probably wasn't a very good feeling for some of those veterans that were there when there were hardly any people there. So I highly recommend, if it happens again, then we get the opportunity, that we should all go and we should really publicize that.
Sylvia?
Yes, I just want to take the opportunity to thank our prior corporate counsel, who are known to be amazing defenders of freedom, top constitutional law firm in our state. And I just want to thank them for their 2 years of tremendous service for this county. I think that they were given a very unwarranted rap, and, were pushed out from their service here. So I want to thank them for standing strong for freedom despite all of the attacks that they came under from the media and from the Democrats here. But I also want to congratulate them because they have had 2 major victories with the Supreme Court, because that is the caliber of attorneys that they are. And so they have had 2 major significant victories in the last couple of weeks at the Supreme Court of the United States for freedom and for families. And so one was a very significant case for our churches, allowing them to weigh into elections, and pushing back, I believe, on the Johnson Amendment. And then also hugely significant case for parental rights. They were part of the legal team on that, and pushing back against DEI efforts in schools, and the freedom of conscience violations, freedom of religion violations that are going on in our schools. And so giving parents the ability to make their wishes known with the schools, and the schools must now respect the wishes of parents. And so I just want to thank them for their amazing victories on a national level. And I personally very much miss their efforts here, but thank them for their strong defense of freedom while they were here.
So I'll wrap it up by just thanking you, all of you, and the public at large. These are difficult decisions. We knew this would be a difficult issue tonight. But we're getting through this, and we'll just keep plugging. So thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.